right in the south and man. Charges on the beat. On the spoon to get your information. To the spoon, para la discussion. Spoon television. Spoon radio station. Spoon gonna tell you what is happening in Liberia. Spoon gonna tell you what is happening in Monrovia. Spoon gonna tell you what is happening in Africa. Just to spoon you will know. The children crying for starvation, just to spoon. You want to get a news update, my brother, to spoon. You want to know what is happening, Moravia, to spoon. Politicians want to make their decision, just to spoon. You want to know what's happening in the ministry, to spoon. Yeah, to spoon. Yeah, to spoon. You from Fonjama, Maryland, to spoon. Yeah, to spoon. If you eat keep my graduate, my brother, to spoon. You got a spoon TV, you got a spoon radio, to spoon. Yeah, to spoon. What? Yeah, Rastafari. Kilibamba, kilibamba, kilibamba. Kilibamba, kilibamba, kilibamba. What I want? This one you got today. Yes, sir. The special one from the CEO, Stanton with the spoon. And your boy, right in the south and band. Charges on the beat. Okay, folks. So, time check here in Liberia, 3 minutes down, 8 p.m. Today is the third day of April 2023. You're listening to Spoon FM, Fabric FM, as well as watching us live on Spoon TV. Welcome to another edition of Spoon Talk here on this network. Let me say good afternoon and good evening to Dr. Richardson and James Goodeflomo, respectively. And good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever it is you're watching us live from. Dr. Richardson, good afternoon to you, ma'am.
Diamond, good day. How you guys are doing? Good day. I almost didn't recognize you. What you got in your hair, so?
I just from Lofa County.
No. Can't down to Monrovia small or go
I headed to Banga.
All right. How you doing today? It's Monday. We want to welcome all of our viewers, our audience, listeners to Spoon Talk. This is where you come and get all your information that you need. We have Diamond on the ground. We got Good Day in the Diaspora. Good Day got plenty of contact in Liberia. So anything shaking Liberia, you can know. Diamond just got all his own contact, all our station. So they're here to keep us updated. So the panelists are going to be rolling in today, and we're going to just take the information, dissect it, and feed it back to you so you can be informed to know what's going on in our country, in our beloved country, one way or the other. We have to make Liberia a more deserving place, as in the words of Mr. Alexander Cummings, a more deserving Liberia. So I actually want to just welcome all of our audience. Enjoy the show here today. This is your show, Liberia show, where you can come and get all the information. I want to welcome Leo Johnson. Leo, I'm so thankful for the way that you respect time. I'm really thankful when you come here exactly the same time.
So people will not think in the Liberian way, they will be showing off 45 minutes late.
I love it. So we're gonna go to Diamond, and we're also going to go to Good. Sorry, guys. Good day, and you guys basically can tell us the trending news in Liberia, and then we can go and just individually welcome our guests. Thank you, Diamond. Back to you.
Thank you, Dr. Richardson. So always a lot of things happening in Liberia. But again, I always select from so many of those things happening to bring a few on the show. So my first information is not a happy one. It's a solemn one. It happened in Grand Bassa County on Saturday, where an 18-year-old man, got drowned in a Benson River while he was there searching for kiss meat. Um, the deceased is was known as one Dixon Va. You
Amen.
know, he went to search for kiss meat, and he got drowned in a Panatown community. When they retrieved his body from the water, there were portions of his ears that were eaten allegedly by crabs. And his two eyes were gone. But when the 15-man jury did what they had to do to ascertain whether there was foul play, they came up with the finding that he died from drowning. So sympathies there to the family of the bereaved. And also in Lofa County, a 40-year-old man, identified as Eric Sevili, also while in the process of harvesting palm nuts, we say you go call palm. He dropped from the tree and died. A 40-year-old man, father of four, lost his life as well there in Lofa County. So NEC has said, Koto, there will be no extension, according to the chairperson of the National Elections Commission, Madam Deverta Brown Lasana, that there will be no extension to the phase one of the ongoing BVR process, that it is going to end for the first counties that are captured on the 9th of April. So if you were hearing information that there might be an extension, we heard the Monrovia City Mayor Jefferson Koji calling on the NEC to give an extended deadline. The NEC chairperson has said no, that is not going to happen. So if you haven't registered and you were hoping on probably there will be an extension, you need to go and get yourself registered as well. So President George Manuel Weah, by and through the Ministry of Internal Affairs on behalf of the governor of Liberia, to our Muslim brothers who are observing the holy month of Ramadan, donated 5 million Liberian dollars and 5,000 bags of rice to the Muslim community of Liberia as a way of identifying with them as they go through the fast this Ramadan. All right. But the president is now out of hot waters. The Association of Female Lawyers of Liberia, AFL, they've questioned whether or not the president is the feminist in chief. Taking into consideration, he vetoed the 30% affirmative representation bill. In his veto statement, the president mentioned the
I
tax
got interest in that one there, right?
to election. He said it's 7 months to election. He doesn't want to cause any disturbances to the process. But AFL also referenced Sierra Leone, that President Julius Maada Bio also signed similar bill 5 months to election, in that country. So why is it President Weah cannot sign the affirmative representation bill that is to give 30% representation to females in the country? And he's citing the proximity to elections. They said if anything is going to disturb the election, it wouldn't be allocating 30% of elected position to females, rather it would be the slow BVR process, a lot of red tapeism and other things that we do see. Signing this bill wouldn't in any way have been or caused any sort of disturbances to the schedule of the election timeline. So that's from AFL to the president. Quickly, have you heard this saying in Liberia that kill cow and eat dry rice?
No.
Richardson.
Yeah, I've actually heard it.
Kill cow
No.
and eat dry rice. You hear it before?
Sorry,
No.
even here in the diaspora too. I'm thinking me hanging out. Go get a seat in here.
Hanging on, yeah. So that's what is happening at the Ministry of Transport. So for the second day running, employees of the Ministry of Transport have been staging a protest action demanding unpaid salaries, wages, and also demanding an increment in their salaries. They said they've been killing cow for the government of Liberia and they have been eating dry rice.
What I
Last budget year, they raised 12 million.
Let me put in practical way. Like get somebody to cook for you. You get them plenty of money to go to the market that are riches, and then they came by the cook dry rice. So transport workers saying we're raising revenue for government and everything, but we're making $60 or $70 at the same time, one of the lowest pay in the government. So you can't get cow to eat dry rice.
Okay, but is it true, just to make sure, Diamond, is it true that they are bringing in a lot of revenue and they only getting a minimum?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Last year they were taxed to raise 7.5 million, and they
Mm-hmm.
ended up raising $12.5 million.
All the vehicle registration, stickers,
Inspection,
all that inspection
all those things.
is on
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah,
So
man.
Minister
So
Claire
where
did
all
go
money
there.
going?
And our government raising, they have to go in other sectors too.
The men are raising, they're raising cow, but they're selling the cow be more than cow be going the other side, not coming to them.
Somebody eating a cow.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So they've asked for an increment, and
Wow.
Minister Claire did go there and promised that they will have a meeting on Wednesday to see how best they can resolve that
the
issue.
roll phone. Okay, let me hear it. They want to
Yeah.
we can't get nothing straight on the money in Liberia.
All right, so I'll just conclude on this. I made a trip to the RIA today, and was allowed into the terminal because I went to do some business, and the terminal has got some portion that is leaking. So they got buckets there and the water dropping.
Are
In
you
the buckets,
serious?
and the
I
question
mean, you
again
splash the soil with your own two color eyes?
I'm
I'll send the video.
sadly
James,
not
James,
surprised.
you saw the video, right?
Yeah, I'm actually sadly not
Yeah,
not
You didn't see the video.
please put this in our chat room. I didn't see
yeah,
it.
if you can share the video, it would be great.
It's RIA again, and we need to at least rehabilitate the airport, renovate the airport. That's our only international airport. Sierra Leone just, dedicated their new airport. We're not saying build new one for us, but there are certain things that shouldn't be happening. Imagine people coming to your country through your airport. That's the first impression they get of you, and they see water dripping in buckets here and there and stuff like that. So we know we got a legislative issue there. We have other issues, but at least the roof too shouldn't be an issue. They should, try and resolve that as well. People will look at it as we're talking down on our country, but we are not talking down on our country. We don't want this kind of impression, to be what you get when you visit Liberia, that okay, the country with a leaking airport and stuff like that. So that's something that's minor. They can get it done in no time. So those are some of the trending issues, Dr. Richardson. At least you learned a new Liberian saying today, kill cow and eat jarrets.
That's true. And I think that's very updated. That's very generational, because I don't believe that during my generation that we had that saying. I think we had, if I remember anything, it was the cow that doesn't have tail, that who would dry the fly. That was one of the something similar.
Now when I get it,
Exactly.
now drive and fly.
We updated it for you. We updated it.
I don't think there's
somebody.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's very good. I'm glad that you said that, because people be thinking, oh, that's
God can drive a fly.
Exactly. So if I must make any analogy, that's exactly what it is. Who will take care of those people who are bringing plenty of money to the Ministry of Transport, and then the jet getting small thing? Who will take care of them? The jet living by heart over there. So that some people be thinking, oh, she been to American, she they're saying all of that stuff is generational. So that's what it is. And then I do stay my little corner on the other hand. So, but thank you, Timon. That was very very detailed. This thing about the two guys that died, our sympathy goes to the family. It's very sad, especially for kids being palmed up business. People are dying for those reasons. It can happen. It can happen. So, and then the NEC extension, I don't know. We'll talk about that one. I think we'll talk about that one at the panel, because, and then we'll also talk about, the president gave, he said $5 million Liberian dollars to the Muslim community. That's very interesting.
And 5,000 bags of rice, Dr. Richardson.
And 5,000.
When you see them putting their money in Liberian dollars, let them tell you in US. Because by the time they start calling their money Liberian dollar, I can just say, okay, $5 million Liberian dollars. You just think that.
Now, how much is it in Liberian in American US?
If you do the conversion at a rate of 164, because now you're converting Liberian dollars to US dollars, you get a figure. So let me try to do that quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. You guys can be going ahead. Once I get the figure, I'll let you know. It's 30,487.
That's plenty of money, 30,000.
Look at them out.
Anyway, y'all go ahead.
Okay, you wanted to know if it was a reasonable sum in USD.
It's only reasonable, Imam. 30,000 for all the people, bro.
No, but
everybody will eat it.
Yeah, but just to give one group $30,000 for what reason?
Anyway, true.
In fact,
but it is enough. A gift.
We could have donated that to the Muslim school.
Yeah, it is a gift. I think it's enough.
Easter cameo for the a Christian now. So I hope
exactly. So
the Christians should get something as well.
No,
exactly.
So I just said Easter coming, my man. Don't put me in your situation.
When you start doing stuff like that, you got to start looking at all the different groups. This is what we think about, in terms of inclusion. So the atheists, the Christian, the people all our people who believe in the different gods in the country, the Buddhists, all of those people. And so that is it. And then, of course, we'll probably talk about this whole feminist 30% parity law. We really need to think about
testimony. Thank you, yeah.
What you say?
You see what she telling me.
Just say Samuel good for my please small. You know your face off.
Don't my heart. And I even let she go her trouble. And I see her.
I think she got a point.
Also, my final
Is it a smiling part or the face part? Which part is the point?
I retract that. I take that back.
It's gone.
Anyone interrupt the show? I thought I explained something about the
people that all the veterans will be ugly for a long time, so we used to at the point.
No, you're not going to the show. You could have been charming, because I'm talking something different. I can't bring up. You don't want to put a person comment out.
Now we mean right.
That's right. 30% parity law.
Yep. Just to begin with, the Samuel Tues intervention at the Ministry of Transport. There, he also made a statement that was not welcoming by those protesters, the aggrieved protesters. He told them that it is their right to protest for salary delay, but he will not be moved by politically motivated protests regarding increment of salaries. So the aggrieved protesters kept asking, after you announce budget surplus, you still talking about government lacking the resources regarding increment of salary. So basically, Samuel Tues was telling the protesters that the protest is politically motivated because they're talking about increment of salary. So he's not going to be moved by that. And to the National Elections Commission, about a day, let's say about 3 or 4 days ago, we saw a news coming from district number 10, or we saw a communication from district number 10, specifically represented the Yeke Koluba, accusing, at the time, the person was a would-be sedition, but it was confirmed now, coming from the sedition, who is currently not working with NEG. A message came from her specifically to the chairperson of the National Elections Commission. I'm sorry, to the CDC, informing him about sending people to go and talk to her co-workers because they were not giving a chance to those who were registering in the interest of CDC. So the chairperson should go there and talk to them, and they should also send the first-time voters there and the older people to their center. So when Representative Yeke Koluba raised that argument, many people said it was not real. Yeke was being political, and they were just, doing politics to make the woman to not work with the National Elections Commission. But after Yeke filed a formal complaint to the National Elections Commission, they carry on their investigation. According to the National Elections Commission, she was wrong, and they established that yes, she was responsible for what happened. So they terminated her contract. Though she earlier told Spoon that her phone got missing and she was not the one who sent the text. But according to the Nike investigation, she was responsible for the text. So based on that, they terminated her contract. So Yeke was now wrong. And it was confirmed that, yes, she's a sedition. The message went directly to her party in order to manipulate the BVR process in District 10. And the commission also stated that that act is not okay. It has the power to undermine the entire electoral process of the country. So they had to let her go.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I actually was hoping that was false news, but from based on what you're saying, good day.
Yeah, I have the release from the National Elections
No,
Commission.
that
I
is.
will also,
I actually saw it. That's accurate. I saw it. Some
yeah,
people.
I'll
Yeah,
send it to you.
I did see that too. But remember, we're going back and forth, making sure that
Yeah.
we make sure that we present the correct news to the Liberian people, because she did say her phone was stolen. And
Yeah.
so we didn't want to just make any false allegation. But Yeka did the right thing as well. He actually reported it to NEC, and they did whatever investigation as they should do. And then came back to say that, whatever was happening, sending a message to CDC persons to say, bring, your group over here, is biased, and it's
I
not
think.
good for our country.
I,
Yes, go
I,
ahead.
I think a lot of people are missing the point. People are saying, "Oh, because she was CDC, she can work for Election Commission." That is not the point. The
Correct.
point is she was doing something, first of all, illegal. She was trying to manipulate the registration process to favor a particular party.
Correct.
I think the
So,
main question. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's the press release.
okay, that's it. The last paragraph. That
It
is
says
the last two paragraphs.
Ms. Yancey was terminated following investigation.
No, the last two paragraphs. Meanwhile,
Okay. Meanwhile, NEC has terminated the services. So that means they fire her, they sack her, the services of
mhm,
Antoinette Yancey, one of its temporary staff. So she was just there, I guess, for this period of time that they're doing
mhm.
registration, who served as a registrar at the Nawuwa English and Arabic School in District 10 for acts inimical to her status as a BVR staff, which means that she just was calling people from one particular party to come to register, and it shouldn't be that way. Ms. Yancey was terminated following an investigation that established her involvement in activities that had the propensity to undermine the integrity and credibility of the commission. It's true.
Yeah,
So,
and I think Yaka should be Honorable Calabash should be applauded.
Yeah, and he also said that he wants to come on.
Okay.
yes,
Yeah, I think Honorable Calabash should be applauded for bringing this to the public glare and doing his best to gather evidence. Because the challenge with these things most of the time, Dr. Richardson, is that people see it sometimes it's true, but the inability to get evidence to support it makes it difficult to do anything. Another thing I would say, I think the bigger problem that we're not answering, the bigger question that NEC hasn't answered is what type of vetting was done? Like I kept asking this question, I keep asking preparation and nobody else listening. Who are you hiring? Because at the very least, there should be terms of reference. There should be specific guidelines, and staff, temporary staff should be trained to know what it means to work for the Election Commission, what you can do, what you cannot do. Because I'll be frank with you, some of the people don't even know they're not supposed to be posting certain things on social media. When
correct. In a professional capacity, yes.
they don't even know that, because I doubt that there was a training. So my thing is, where workers also informed of the type of consequences that they have to be facing. Letting her go is not a consequence. It's not really a consequence. When you undermine, because who knows how many information she's been able to manipulate as a result. So what if you catch another worker who been in the system for the whole process, who have managed already to register thousands of people and manipulate the data in a way? Then what you do, you just let them go. So that means that data is already within the system. There's nothing you can actually do about it.
Inimical. Yes, inimical to the situation. Basically, you make some really good points here. And honestly, I was in the middle because I didn't want to prove Yeke right, but I also wanted to see evidence. And he did present. He went over there, he took pictures and stuff like that, because sometimes in many cultures, including our country, people spread rumors. Sometimes those rumors are false for their own agenda. And so I wanted to make sure that we had all of the investigation and everything. She said her phone was stolen, to make sure that it wasn't her who sent that message out. But it turned out that it was her. NEC did their investigation.
Just to clarify something I heard people say, nobody's saying next should go be looking for people who are members of political parties. And that's what we say. Once you get the job, you cannot display or publicly participate in any of your political activities if you're going to work for NEC. Nobody who in Liberia, it's your right to join a political party, but it's also your right, if you're going to work for NEC, to not have any stance that might make you look one-sided while you're working as a NEC officer. So nobody is saying NEC man go after anybody who been part of political party before, who nobody would have known she was even part of CDC or raise it. Her Honorable Kolobana raised the issue of her trying to manipulate data while working for NEC. Nobody went after her because she was a CDC partisan or in the past she's been affiliated with CDC. What Honorable Koluba raised was the fact that in the exercise of her duty as a NEC staffer, she was trying to manipulate the process to favor a particular political party. The question we should be asking is that criminal? If that is criminal, then just letting her go is not enough, because there has to be proper examples and standards set so that other people who may be involved may start to see that the consequences are grave.
Yes. I think to ask the question if it's criminal, that's actually a good question, because in the text, she said that she wanted people to come down in the interest of their party. So that actually just kind of enrolled our election process. How you just ask for one group of people to come register to vote at this certain place because you want preferences.
Yeah. And next said they actually investigated and came to a conclusion. Correct. So my thing is saying that, you have overwhelming evidence, because besides what Honorable Koluba raised, if NEC conducted their own separate investigation and came to the conclusion that yes, in fact, the charge they put on her is even greater than what Honorable Koluba was laying on her, in my opinion.
Because his was basically, his was an eyewitness, and a daughter kind of report that he did, versus them. It seems like they follow up and
a full investigation.
Yes, and made some causal relationship to what, some strong causal relationship to what they heard that she did. She said she lost her phone. So, and apparently they realized more than what we know. So anyway, that's good conversation, Leo. Good thoughts. And what are your thoughts about this, the president, feminine in chief? I know you're trying to stay away from it, but we got to talk about it.
I want to stay away from it. I'll comment. It's, again, I think it's discouraging that people take serious conversations and trivialize them in ways that undermines the actual advocacy and quest for women empowerment. I seriously think so. I had a serious problem the first time the president announced himself as feminine in chief. I had a serious problem because, first of all, you should not be announcing yourself as feminine in chief if you are clearly
out of the words.
It will be the women advocacy groups or whatever that will be honoring you, and for being there for them. It's like declaring Dr. Richardson getting on one morning and say, I gave myself doctor degree in medicine because I've been supporting many doctors. In our universities, to be an honorary doctorate universities, you have to be nominated. They have to have a committee. In fact, it has to be an external person that nominates you.
That's true. And you don't go around calling yourself doctor.
Call it a doctor. So an external person nominates you, then the university reviews all of the things that they have said, and they bestow it upon you more as what they call it honorary. Is to just honor you for your contributions. It doesn't mean you're an expert in the area. So when President Weah got and named himself feminine chief, I think it was disingenuous in the first place. He did himself no favor. Why should you be naming yourself feminist in chief if you were really doing what women were seeing and the progress you were making for them? They would have been the one organizing themselves to call you feminist in chief. But okay, let's come to the accountable partner. You name yourself feminist in chief. Fine. We still got rape cases pending at the rape court that affect women a lot. You complain that you didn't sign the bill because it's too close to election. Why would we be empowering women just because of the upcoming election? This should not be about the upcoming election.
No,
sign that bill. You could even sign that bill and say, you know what? We will not have it active for this particular election because of the time, but this is an important piece of legislation because the work that needs to be done to even empower women to take advantage of a legislation like that, the time too short. It's not possible. But a rejection of the bill as the excuse that the election too close, so mean you're only interested in the upcoming election. You're not interested in the long-term empowerment of women because you didn't say the bill is bad. If you have said it's bad, they'll be like, okay, you have an argument. And let's talk
about tell us what makes it bad.
What makes it bad? Let's have the argument. But if you are saying the only reason you didn't sign it after all the work that was done was because the election too close, that means you only thinking 6 months down the road. You're not thinking 5 years down the road. So, Mr. Feminism Chief, the women's movement has been around for hundreds of years and they're still fighting to make strides. So by you thinking that 6 month issue, sorry, we got a long road ahead of us to support women's empowerment and not based on an upcoming election.
Sure. Thank you. And I hope that, whoever gets elected, they should really explore this with having at least 30% representation of women. As we see, go ahead and study Rwanda's case, Rwanda's situation. They have a women's friendly government. And so you can bring some of those things, the good things, back to Liberia. Something that I also thought was interesting, here we are giving $30,000 to the Muslim community, which, I think I support all of my Muslim brothers and sisters, cousins who are, going through Ramadan. In fact, yesterday started the Holy Week for Christians. Some Christians are also fasting. In my church, they do a Holy Week fasting. But yeah, we are complaining about not having money, and people are protesting that they're not getting paid at the Ministry of Transport. But yet and still, we are giving $30,000 out. We are having budget surplus, as the people argue, but then we can't pay those people at the Ministry of Transport. So I think there's some kind of this kind of disconnect for me that's going on here, So I just wanted to add that.
My whole theory, I've been thinking about what could happen potentially for Cummings picking his vice president as well. So I have my theory for that.
Yeah, keep that theory, because I was talking about today, we're talking about vice presidential pick. We started with Kuhn, we're going to Yombly, and then we're going to Costa. So keep that theory. If you just join us, you're watching Spoon. I'm here with Good Day and Mr. Leo Johnson. We're just talking about the trending issues in the country. Our panelists are going to be rolling in. You will see them as they come in. You are watching Spoon Talk, where you get your information, get dissected by the panelists here. I just want to briefly just welcome. I always like to welcome. I know our time is 4:33 right now. I always just like to welcome our panelists. Leo, I'm going to start, and then you just follow me, okay? Aaron. I'm like, why I just hit Aaron Quebec. Aaron is one of us right now. Aaron, welcome. Aaron, welcome to the show.
Aaron, if I know you want to start.
I'm telling you, I just, I was scrolling up, and then I saw Aaron. Aaron, I want to welcome Jeepa Williams. Okay, Jeepa, I hear what you're saying. I don't know what you meant, but thank you for your comments. Who else here? Philip Bala, thank you very much for joining us. M. Tifa White, thank you for joining us. Let me just see. Chia Unbreakable Tapet, thank you for joining us here today. Edward Jr., he's I wanting to see this number. Okay, Junior, thank you for being here. Patrick Kennedy, thank you very much for joining us. David Sile, he said, I'm here. Thank you for joining us, David. I'm trying to make sure that I can see Annie Pay. Thank you so much for being here. She's saying that she's went to many of the biometric centers, many of the registration centers are open. Liberians want to encourage you to go. I've been getting messages such as that saying that a lot of the registration center, nobody's there. And the ones that are where people are, the lines, there's a long line of people there. So we have to do something about that. But please continue. Don't give up to register to vote, in as much as the system is flawed a whole lot. Don't give up. Baker Randy is here. Thank you, Baker. David Reeves is here. George Bundle is also here from Banga. Thank you very much. Morris Harris said Dr. 6 o'clock is, thank you. Daniel Lua is also here. Lawrence Fokoli is here Rebecca Cowolo is watching from North Carolina. Rebecca, it's good to have another woman. Anywhere Sana is watching. Annie was actually surprised that I didn't know the Liberian saying about cow meat. So she was like, that saying been around for a long time. I just don't know it. Sorry, I didn't grow up with some of these saying. They weren't, used around me. So I grew up in Beaumont. I don't know if that makes a difference. Not Monrovia. Annie Gifler is here. I'm sorry, Anthony Gifler is here. John Na is also here. Shemel Russell is here. Valentine Precious. Hi, Valentine. How are you doing today? I'm going to stop here. Leah, please go ahead.
All right. We have James Walker. I have Chris Efiso Dante, my man Derek Hammerlin watching all the way from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Phil West says, good evening. John Na say, I'm watching from Worcester, Massachusetts, United States. Shemel Russell, hi there. Valentine Precious, say hi, guys. Jeremiah Akwe is watching us from Banga. They call it Banga.
Banga.
Yeah, Banga on the farm.
That's what it means.
Yeah, Banga on the farm.
There you go. I'll learn to do. I'll learn better yet.
Tim Morris is watching us from Dallas, Texas. Givla P. Marwood, hello, my fellow Liberians. He's watching from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Alexander Johnson is here watching also. John S. Cohn is watching us from Benson Street. Ernest Yonkwe is watching us from Fargo, North Dakota. Augustine Tarzo is also watching us from India. We got Vani Marshall is watching us from Clay District, Bombing County. And then we got Cypern Town is watching us from Police Academy, Pinsville. We got Kolu Ziaman from Massachusetts, my own sis there. We got my Betty's son, Diankpa Jabo, watching from Monrovia. Musa Kamara is watching us. Morris Johnson is watching us from Greensboro, North Carolina. We got HR Mark watching us from Ireland. Harris Stalker is watching us from District 10. Casa Vavi watching from Garnersville. John Saubo also watching us here. Christiana Okara Davis said, good evening, Spoon family. Good evening to you. Massa Ricks. Jackson Barclay is watching us from Pipeline, Johnsonville. Philip Freeman is watching us from Philly. Johnson PJ is watching us from Atlanta, Georgia, United States. James. We got Musu Jabla. We got Lafale Sabumbe watching from Old Road. We got James Walker is watching us. We got Mama Liberia is watching us. Valentino Perez is watching us here. Justin Niwele watching us. Mustafa Fambule. Dawolo Morris. Ali Kaba watching from Ukraine. SB Don, my man right there. Wallace is watching us as well. Soleimani Jallo is watching us from Iran. We got Tipples Dempster watching us as well. Trocon Stanley Horace, LIBJ, Levi T. Sos Harris, Sarah Smith, Erica Zulu, and T. Samuel B. Fire.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So we're going to go to the section of the show where you just basically tell us what's on your mind, Leo, and then I basically will tell you what's on my mind. James, good day. If there's any video or anything we have, just send it to James Good Day.
Thank you. Yeah, what's on my mind is what I call, Dr. Francine, the danger of low expectation in Liberia, where we've gotten to the place where everyone expects the least and not the best. Because everyone you tell about the best things, that it is wrong to ask for the best when you're in Liberia. You're not supposed to ask for better. And I will give you an example. We got people demonstrating or protesting to the Ministry of Transport, and, for salary increment or for pay, whatever they were. And you think that the Ministry of Finance will go there with the attitude, the Minister of Finance will go there with the attitude of de-escalating the situation, right? And being able to sit down. No, instead, the minister goes there and thinks it is politically motivated, as if to say it is not their right, right? That's low expectation to think that when someone protests there, it is because of politics at the end of the day. That's why they're protesting. When they're saying they want salary increment, some of them saying they're making $60 or $70, right? You can only say it's politically motivated if what the people are saying is not true. And, if you have said they're lying, what they're saying is wrong, then that is an argument. The danger of low expectation is when you go to Liberia and say the airport leaking. Like Diamond just told us slang, and then somebody said no, the airport on the other country too leaking too. So we're supposed to be comparing ourselves to all the worst things in other countries and not the best things in other countries.
Excuse me. I also see somebody saying that, oh, Dr. Richardson has said they want a salary increasement instead of not being paid. If you're not getting an increase in your salary, then that means you're not being paid at the level you're supposed to get paid.
That is the danger of low expectation, because every year in any genuine work setting, your salary is supposed to be adjusting for inflation. Every year, because inflation is happening, the economy is being rethought about. No, in Liberia, we are all supposed to accept that Liberia is a dungeon, that garbage. That is the reason why when we leave from abroad, Dr. Richardson, we go to Liberia, people take out their trash and pee in the streets when they know they can't do it here. People lauder and throw their garbage down in the street. For $20 US, Dr. Richardson, you can get a taxi driver to drive you to a bar, have fun with your friends, and drive you back safely. No, people would drive, go get drunk, hold a Hennessy bottle in one hand, and drive with their friends home at the risks of killing themselves, basically, because they want to prove that in Liberia, nothing good supposed to happen. I talked somebody on the last time. The country is so bad, Dr. Richardson, we are fascinated by outdated things. The executive mansion, send the Israeli people felt sorry for all the bill they gave it to us. In 2023, we are trying to renovate a building that was a gift that is only good enough to be decommissioned as a museum. Why are you trying to renovate an executive mansion that was built, right? For $9 million. In today's dollars, $9 million is about $80 million in today's money, adjusting for inflation. You spend almost 80 million or close to 80 million, according to their own accounting, whether they were spending it, they were eating it, only God knows, over 2 different governments, trying to renovate one building that you should be decommissioning to tell our children, say, they're building here, will bring you here to show you how not to do politics. The thing the people they in the building here, you might never repeat it. That's why we're keeping it here for you to see. Look at Capitol Building. You're bringing the Chinese people to put 2 arms on Capitol Building that is Chinese architecture. They're trying to mimic American architecture. It looks out of place. The thing looks like a twisted. The 2 Chinese new arms they put on an old Capitol Building that is supposed to be decommissioned. Why don't we like ourselves? This is 2023. Why should we always settle for low expectations? You bring the Chinese people, you want to bring donor. You tell them to say they're getting old. And you know, it's very old, 40, 50, 60 years old, and the walking will never maintain it. It's time for us to design something that has some character, that looks like Liberia. Go to Ghana and see Jubilee's house. The new presidential palace, it is the Ghanaian stool. So even a young child walking by there with wheelbarrow looks at it, they see themselves in that building. Go to LU. We say forcing children in LU. When the people built LU those days, they used to be at work across the street of Capitol Building to pick up their children in. We in 2023. We have people in our old building. Go to Ministerial Complex. The Chinese people came, they said they won't help us. We help them design building. We include landscaping. They finish building a random, out of character looking building in the middle of nowhere. It looks like it's 50 years old already when you drive past it. Most of the things in it don't work half of the time. The elevators, the air condition, everything breaking down. The same thing with the airport. The people came and said they want Benin International Airport. We put one kini small terminal. We said, but you know, at least the people try now, we get terminal. We didn't say we in 2023, what do we do? I can name most of it to you. Moncofe Hydro. The people said they want Bayer Hydro after the war. We take a serious proposal to them that will take into consideration solar and, you know, renewable energies. We say you can carry out to the old Moncofe, you deal all the wiring from under the ground, you rebuild it for us. So what's on my mind is the danger of low expectation in Liberia, where everybody has connived that we should treat ourselves bad only because we think it's been like that, so it should remain that way.
So Leo, I have a few questions about that, and we're going to the me topic, but I just wanted, how do you think that danger of expectation relates to corruption? That's number one, because I think that has something to do with that. And also the fact that we have war in Liberia, does that have anything to do with it, or has it always been this way based on your analysis? Especially, I'm trying to look at before and after the era. When I grew up in Liberia, my dad was in Liberia. It almost seemed like my dad had high expectations for all of us, all his children, and other people too.
Yep.
High expected. Reason why he went back home, there was a whole generation of Liberians who got educated outside of the country, and the first thing that they did when they graduated was went back to Liberia.
Yep.
They had high expectation for Liberia.
Yep.
But now I don't know. What are you thinking? Is it the war because that's an expedition?
Yep.
Is it the corrupt the not that everybody has been corrupt, but is that the rampant corruption that's happening now, or what?
I think it's a mixture of series of things. The first one is pure wickedness. Because most of the people who were living before the war and participating in the process, they're not all dead. In fact, most of them are the ones in power today. Most of them are still the generation from before who experienced Liberia, Dr. Richardson, when we were exporting shrimp to Japan. They still are the ones in power. They still control the caprices, of power. Even President Weah lives in some of the greatest palaces around the world. He was at the peak of the world. Most of us have come to the West. We've experienced better, Dr. Richardson. We've lived better. We've benefited from better. Most of the people in government came from the diaspora, Dr. Richardson. So the first thing is shared wickedness, but also is incompetence. Because here's what incompetence does. Incompetence makes you afraid that when you create things better and put better system and aspire for the best, you may not be part of the factor. We'll have to kick you out of the way because you will be exposed that you are not competent to be there. So the best way to do it is to keep everybody aspiring for things that are low expectation so that you can look like you the star of the day. Because the moment you elevate the conversation, you will be left out. The third piece that is giving us a serious problem is corruption. And when we talk about corruption, people think about stealing money. Let me tell you what corruption is. Corruption is for you to go to school. You were supposed to learn, right? To implement, but you went to school, fake your way, memorize, pass with an A+. That is corruption because you know what we're doing now? Dr. Francine, how can we get all these top economists who can write some of the most brilliant papers, but they can't face it, they can't organize real market? It makes no sense. It's putting square pegs in round holes. How can we get top economists in our country according to themselves? But when small thing happen, the IMF, we want the IMF to come. We're begging the IMF. When last have you seen somebody created a blueprint for Liberia that is contextual to the Liberian analysis without begging the IMF to tell them what they're supposed to do? Dr. Richardson, something have to be twisted. How can you say you went to school? You are an expert in agriculture, but you don't even know how to grow rice. You subsidizing Lebanese vendors to bring rice from way overseas. Your country is at crisis because of rice. But you tell us, say you're an agriculture expert. So the corruption we're supposed to be, Dr. Richardson, anybody that can allow children to go to University of Liberia and sit down there and say they're learning, that is the greatest fraud ever done to the young people of Liberia. The greatest fraud ever committed is to keep LU underdeveloped, open, when we don't even have 50% capacity to deliver quality education, and we are issuing degrees that young people have to leave and think and go to the real market to go sell after graduating with a university degree. The greatest disservice any president, all of our presidents have done is after the war, they came out, they saw LU the way it was, they told where wash and painted it and pretended like we could continue from where we stopped before the war when they had destroyed every fabric of the society. LU was supposed to be rebuilt from the bottom up, like every other system in our country, because for 15 years of war, we destroyed it. But even what was used before the war was no longer relevant after the war. We needed something that could have responded to it. So what they've done, they kept majority of our young people not knowing any better. Only know what they know because using that, they can stranglehold them. That is the reason why people can go to RIA and still drive on a dark road from RIA to Monrovia with no street light, and they're cool with it. They're comfortable with it because when you keep it like that, then our people will keep thinking when you do small thing, when you have one layer light, you put one layer solar light or you buy one generator, they will think you've just opened heaven. Because they don't realize that having access to electricity is supposed to be a basic need. Having access to clean drinking water. So it's a mixture. I agree the war had its impact, but Dr. Francine, the most dangerous one is shared wickedness and corruption, because the people who live in today, and some of them stay in power in our legislature, in our executives, they were in government before the war. They saw what the expectations was. They lived in America, in Europe, in Australia, in Canada, some of them for 20, 25 years. They brought them back to do better. No, what did they do? They decided to make the situation worse.
Thank you. Thank you. If you're just joining us, you are listening to Leo Johnson on Spoon Talk. Honorable Yeke Kolba also joined us. We're going to be getting to this conversation about the Vice President Joseph Boakai's his vice presidential pick, as former vice president Joseph Boycott, vice presidential pick. There's several names that are out there, and we are going to be exploring those names. And I also wanted Leo to talk about the danger of low expectation as it relates to this vice presidential pick. So that's a good segue into this conversation. Honorable Yeka Koluba, thank you so much for joining us. I don't know if I should be apologizing to you or not, because the last time you were here, you made a claim that came to be factual. You actually showed us a videotape, and I was in the middle because I wanted to make sure that I had enough evidence, or at least enough investigation to make a decision about that. So what you said was quite correct, sir. You were very right, and you continue to do your investigation and tell us that your intelligence. In fact, you told us that you're in Sarah chat rooms, and people actually sent you that text that we showed over here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sorry that that Liberia is going through this struggle of people undermining our democracy process, which is kind of what you said. So what are your thoughts on, now that the NEC investigator and found this to be true? Do you know of other places that this is also happening?
Thank you very much. Let me say good evening to Leo and you, Dada Regency, to my supporters, the Pop District number 10, the Pop Liberia, and the people around the world. Look, Dada Regency, I listen to Leo Jason. They talk about education. Do the government respect education? No. Dada Regency, if our mothers do not stand up, if our brothers, our fathers, people that got children in school do not stand up, the government finish your education. To the extent where they are going to institutional schools, could now be those administrators telling them, giving them money. And you know those administrators, those teachers are doing, the principal are doing? They will tell the students, say, when you get voter registration card, you pass for the year. When you get voter registration card, you pass for the year. Education is being abused in this country. Sorry, some of I have not sat in class before. I've not gone to school before. So when I'm speaking my English, please try to correct me. Look, until we can have people that got interest in this country, education finish. The people have abused, this government have abused education to the extent where they are paying teachers, schools, giving them money, telling the students that when you get voter registration card, you pass for the year. You helping your here with education business. As long as you get people in power, there is no value for education in this country. No value.
So, Honorable Koluba, and I want to welcome Salamatu to the show. Thank you for joining me, Salamatu. It's always good to have another female voice, as usual.
Salamatu is my favorite person today.
Okay, I get off the show so you and Salamatu can be. I saw Salamatu post. Yes.
Good afternoon, everybody. I really enjoy Leo. Good afternoon, Representative Koluba. You're one of my favorite representatives. We got all kinds of favorite people on here today.
That's right.
Sorry for joining late.
That's okay.
I enjoy you.
Interesting. The Honorable Yeka Koluba, one Salamatu is for you. One thing I noticed about her, she is for you, and I appreciate that about her.
They know me.
She's not wishy-washy. She will tell us that who are for. So she for you. You do bad, she will tell you. When you do good, she will tell you, but she for you.
Yeah, bad for you.
The good outweigh the bad. That's what it is. It's kind of like being a marriage, Everything will not be perfect, but the good days outweigh the bad days.
Yeah.
So, Honorable Koluba, there's something that Leo said, and you went back to what he was talking about. He said this is pure wickedness, because I asked him, I said, Leo, you think this is corruption? This is the war that these people are choosing to underdevelop our country by having low expectations, even for our education setting. And he said to me, this is pure wickedness, Dr. Richardson, in addition to competency and stuff like that. Are you thinking that this is just pure wickedness?
It's not only wickedness, but we destroy this country. Look, Dr. Richardson in the Lebronpo always said, or the Lebronpo can say, the legislature corrupt. That's true. Until they can move up from that place with the criminals, Lebron going nowhere. That horse that jet to steal. The Lebron not wrong. That horse that jet to steal. Now the reason why some people finding it difficult now to be re-elected. And they're finding it real difficult. Because what we dare to steal, we're not in the interest of the people. So right now you see people talking. And I always tell them, I say, you all say LeBron people deceitful, right? It is about time for you to see that LeBron people are very appreciative. Appreciation is in this country. But you have to stand up for the people. When you stand up for the people will stand up for you. That I say, this government, our government are working in. When you talk about education, there would be no education in the country, no correct education until we leave power. I can't agree and say they went to school. But he told Zogo then to go and vandalize the edu campus. Beat up students, loot at people things. Did the government do anything? Nothing. Nothing. In fact, they clap for him. They clap for him. How can we be in power? We said our government. Then we tend to enemy to our own government. That I say. Let me tell you something today. I'm trying to do some investigation. And as soon as I get my 100% evidence, we'll be discussing it on the show. I will give it to you so we can put it up. After the voter registration, when the polling center closed, when the voter registration center closed, they got ministers happening in my district. They got ministers. They got government officials that take the machine, carry it to their homes and registering underage children. That just one evidence waiting for one more. As soon as I get it out of registry, you will see what will happen. You know, Paul always say, you get crazy. They think you get talk, no evidence. I crazy. All my own thought are crazy talk. You don't mind me na crazy talk. But it will come to reality. If the opposition do not stand up, you know what happened voting day? That I really think some of you will get vexed with people you will see on the land. They put registering 11-year-old, 12 years old, 13-year-old, 14 years up to 16 years old. That's what the government too desperate that they put a registering on. But the last piece of evidence I want, by the time I get it, you will see. And I will soon get it. No homes will be identified. But you know what? We need to do it along with the international community. The justice system is not trusted. The justice system is not trusted because all of them are a part of it. Everything that's going on criminally in the country, the justice minister is a part of it. The president is a part of it. The director of police is a part. Every criminal act that's going on in the country, the justice system is part of it. They are the facilitators. This statement from me, Yeke Koliba. This statement is from Yeke Koliba. I'm on spoon. I'm expressing it. So hold me responsible for it. You want to grab me now, tell me get on the road so you can pick me up. I am saying all the criminal things are going on. The government are planning for our people to be harassed and terrorized until we can get people all the power. No way. No way that is resisting.
Yes.
No way. Not just give our own to God. You hear things here with education. The people telling the children go get for the restaurant because you pay for the year. That's serious people here.
Amen.
I'm very sorry for our mothers that got their children in school. If people don't stand up to check on your children that got a federal registration card to ask them while they took at their own age, you people are helping to destroy this country.
So if you're listening, you are listening to Spoon Talk. Yeke Koliba made an allegation last week that came to fruition. Basically, he actually identified a NEC worker who was asking the chairman Malu in a text to bring people to vote at her registration center because that was in their interest. Thank you. This is the text. He said, "Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Chair Lady. Good morning, Chairman Malu. This is the exchange that was going between both of them. This is Antoinette and one of the NEC worker at Namua Muslim building at register D10. Please try and reach out to us so we can talk to our co-worker so that they can be flexible with their first-time voters and other people who want to register in our interests." So she's asking them to reach out to the co-worker there to behave in an undemocratic way. And then this is what Yeke intercepted and brought that to us. I want to ask Sadamatu to come in. Sadamatu, we saw that Yeke brought this out and exposed this. What do you think about this whole allegation that was made that people now he's telling us people are trucking people into district, bringing people as early as 10 years old, to register to vote. What do you think about that? And of course, you can ask me any questions as you will, please.
Yeah. Okay. So I have gotten a couple of messages, messenger messages from people also expressing their frustration in the entire registration process. And from my understanding, this is just like a sample, right? They're just starting. They haven't opened registration to everybody, to the entire country yet, right? And they're running into several problems. The sad thing is you're not even seeing an attempt to correct some of the issues that people are saying, raising. And when you start seeing things happening like it, we saw the corruption from the get-go. The first thing was the biometrics machine. I think even the international community had a problem with either the company that was doing it or the process or something. That was the first thing. The opposition was kind of quiet on that. They weren't loud enough, we should say. Next thing you know, the census came out. And right here on this very show, I had never seen anything like that in Liberia, where they prove the young man was just placarding the proof, just throwing everything. He was so articulate. He was so consistent. He came on the show several times. He brought some of his receipts with him, and yet nothing again was done. The census, yeah. Now they started again with the money that they didn't have any money. So it's like you pony up all of these issues. As Leo said, no money, but they didn't even have no report to give. So you have all of these issues, and yet none of it was resolved. They didn't try to resolve anything. The only thing we saw the NEC really pushing was the money. The fact that they didn't have the money, they went to the international partners, they went and reported the government and said they didn't have any money. That the part we saw, everybody was fighting hard for. Yeah. But the process, so now, Representative Koluba came on. He stated what he stated. He's not the first person to say these things. We're hearing it. We keep hearing it. It will make sense for a sensible government to say, you know what, I'm going to look into this. But maybe we don't need to be talking to them anymore. Maybe we need to be alerting our international partners who have all those observers on the ground. From my experience with the international observers, they're usually looking for violence around these centers. And maybe, they don't get to see what's actually happening in the centers. But we want to alert them, because I'm sure some of them are watching. And even if they're not watching, you got some Liberians who work for these international organizations who are watching. They need to start going to these places, and maybe they need to help us put the pressure on the government. Because as we've seen, everybody complain, everybody talk, nothing happening. And I don't know if we'll get to talk about Leo's video earlier today. He touched on so many things that, I think it touched a lot of people's heart, because these were some of the things that, people are continuously complaining about. That one, you have people who are in the position to manage the country. You have, you elected them, you appointed them, they're in the position to manage the country. The people who are there, they either are not qualified, which, if you're not qualified, you can learn. There's always a room for learning. Yeah.
Especially nowadays.
Yeah. But I think what's really hurting is the fact that people just don't give a damn about Liberia. You got a small group of people who are benefiting from a lot of things. And because they're benefiting, they don't want to open up the country where everybody have access to education, to health, to exposure, to be able to, I don't know, just to have that option to function as a regular citizen in your country. If you got a small group of people who are enjoying that wealth, they're going to block it. Every opportunity they get, they're going to block it. We're again seeing this with the current administration. They were a great opposition. They made noise. A lot of the things they were making noise about, they didn't know. They didn't know there were policies there. They didn't know. Nothing. They didn't make noise on policies. They just made noise. Oh, the people don't care. The people don't care. The people stealing. And then the Liberian people, in their heart of heart, because Liberian people are sweet people. They say, okay, we'll give it a year to Kanye now, because we just desperate. We're looking for some kind of good change. They give it a year now, you can't, and you even worse than what you were criticizing. And again, the sad thing, you don't care. We want to see some kind of passion about something, some kind of empathy. When you get into a position, it has nothing to do with, if messing up is not the biggest problem. You're supposed to mess up. You're a human being. You're supposed to make mistakes here and there. The problem comes when you're not willing to correct, you're not willing to acknowledge, you're not willing to learn. That's where the problem comes in, and that's what we're starting to see with this government. I honestly wish, I know, people sometimes say, Honorable Kaluba is not conventional, he should be saying it this way. But when you get frustrated to the point, you got to talk it the way it is. And I really wish we have more people like him. Say what you want to say about his way of doing things. Say what you want to say, even about Darius Dillon. We're just seeing very few of our legislature actually speaking up.
Yeah. So, I think you are addressing what Leo was talking about, the danger of low expectations in our culture. When you talk about electing certain people who have the ability to read and be competent, especially in this world where, growing up in this world now, there's information are accessible everywhere, all over the place, wherever you want it. So I actually want to just basically welcome Honorable Kaluba again. He's here to talk to us about the integrity in our elections data that we have. He's giving us the problem of the data. He's pointed out a few. Last week, he made an allegation that came true after NEC investigated an employee there and basically ended up terminating her from the position. But I think, again, Leo pointed out to the consequences, the great consequences of having poor data integrity. One, I think you also mentioned that too, Sadamatu. There's a propensity for war in our country. There's a propensity for people to say, we don't like this election result because from the get-go, it wasn't squeaky clean. It wasn't good enough, okay, from the get-go. This is not where we want to be. But I think, again, we kind of have settled for low expectations. So this is why we're getting what we have, and like you're right, nobody's doing anything to say we can fix the problem. So Leo, I wanted to ask you your thought about, how does this low expectation now play out into our registration process, and how does that support what Honorable Yeke is talking about?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Richardson. The danger of low expectation is such that people already expect that cheating is supposed to happen in okay. People already expect that it's impossible for somebody to not cheat. People are already expecting that somebody's supposed to cheat or the process is supposed to be one way, nothing's supposed to make sense. So what it does is it reduces the shock value. And Dr. Richardson, when something happened and not supposed to happen, that shock value that you get, that raw reaction, it reduces it when you get to the place where you start to think it is acceptable. The fact that we don't see the anger that election commission telling us they're conducting biometric registration, but they're not getting a budget allocation yet. The fact that we don't see the rage that election commission recruited people to come and do biometric registration when they don't know how to type on a computer keyboard. The fact that we don't see the rage that is showing up now that those who were recruited were not properly vetted to ensure that they didn't just pick anybody to come do this. They were not properly trained. My people, this is not a criticism. This is saying to do this job. I told you before, Dr. Richardson, you needed at least 4 to 6 months of training and vetting of the people who are going to be entrusted to do this work. Because you know why? You would have been able to see the competency level, number one, but you would have been able to find out a lot more information about the people you were entrusting with the Liberian people voting process. Look, the reason we went to war was because somebody thought they could put 13 people on a nonsensical trial and said they were corrupt and execute them by firing squad. The reason we went to war is because people felt the people who were in the True Win Party stole the country money and wealth for over 100 years and they needed to revenge. The reason we went to war is because people jumped in the street and said, Native woman born soldier, Congo woman born rogue. The reason we went to war was because market women hate MPFL rebels in their houses trying to unseat a tyrannical government that were witch hunting other tribal people. The reason the war escalated was because the Prince Johnson, the George Bollers, and the likes of them felt they needed to defend their tribes and took up arms, and we had almost 7 warring factions at some point. Until today's date, we still haven't made sense of it. The danger of low expectation is such that we sat down again. The very conditions that were right, that somebody took advantage of and plunged us into war, we are again festering and feeding these same nonsensical conditions where people are going to the court and getting no justice, where people are seeking redress from the security apparatus. Either they don't have the capacity or they're not willing to investigate it. These are the reasons that make, when people get hopeless and desperate, Dr. Richardson, I keep reminding people nothing scares them. You can scare them with gun. You can scare them with consequences, because at the point they are saying, if I would die something away anyway, I might as well go down fighting. That the reason why people say, you kill my man, you kill my pa, I will vote for you. People didn't understand it. They thought Liberian people were stupid. Liberian people were saying when we were killing each other, nobody came to our rescue. So why would we vote against Charles Seder when there's a serious danger that war could erupt again if he loses the election? We'd rather live on a hardship and don't have the bullets flying over our head and have Charles Seder as president, because nobody's coming to save us from anywhere. Let me repeat. Nobody is coming to save us if we play with the fire that we are playing with. If it erupts in our hand, people will watch us and wait till we get to the place where we can kill no more, like we did. We destroy each other. There was nothing left to fight over in Liberia anymore, where everybody was tired at the time the people came in. So for me, people talk these things and people thinking about somebody becoming president and somebody talking against the government. This is when the war came. They're not only the government people die. They're not only the rebel died. The innocent people that died were more than the combatants who were actually fighting. When the war came, the children who died from diarrhea, cholera, hunger, lack of medical treatment were more. So if you're not doing it for anybody, do it for the sake of the babies that are dying right now because we don't have a good healthcare system. Yeah. Do it for the babies that are dying right now because their mothers and fathers cannot afford to buy food to feed their children. This is no joking business. People buy expensive cars and drive on bumpy roads that will destroy the car owner carrier in 3 months and thinks they are living a luxurious life. The whole country lives in a slum and everybody is comfortable, including the president. Everybody. There is no part of Liberia you go right now that you don't see the signs of poverty everywhere around you. It doesn't matter where you go. What at Mamba Point, what at Rehab, wherever you go, poverty is what you are confronted with, even in the midst of the makeshift mansions that they are building. I beg your people, you have destroyed 2 to 3 generations already. Can we at least rescue one more?
Yes. So thank you. Thank you for that passionate call, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Koluba, Honorable Koluba, you heard what Leo had to say. And sometimes I wonder, you are there in the legislature all by yourself, taking positions, for a better country, but people just, nobody there to support you. So how do you understand how change is going to come when you are there by yourself and you have leaders complain to us? Sometimes you say, well, I'm fighting, I'm the only person talking.
That Regency.
Yes.
The only way the country can be all right. No political parties, honorable comments, honorable Buckeye, and need to tell the people that are going to be representatives and senators that are not coming to our capital building for committee business. As long as we are on committee, we will not talk. Let me say that today. The people have not heard this before. The only thing we want to be friendly with government for committee business. Now the reason why some of us can't talk, because we are on committees. The committee, that one can cause people from ANC, people from Unity Party, with the opposition, independent people can disrespect the political leaders. Because we want to be on committees and we want to be fair, so we can have committee hearings, so we can be able to do our work freely. Because when you're on any kind of good committee in our house, you better don't talk. You better don't talk. It's too much. You better don't talk. And listen to Leo say, and the people don't do vetting. The people can do vetting. You know what happened, Leo? Like they say something, they put their vetting. The people say they vetting your day, we want it, your position there. They voter registration are going on, they put their vetting. Citizens send a list, that they list the people going back. me tell you something today.
Election
Commission did well, but they need to do more. That woman need to be prosecuted. But now, when the report came out that she was fired, the police have sent for her to prosecute her. You see, this is how election violence starts. Let's take, for example, God forbid, somebody in the district lost the election. They run to election, they run to the court with the evidence. What would the court do? What would they say? The evidence is glaring. The evidence is glaring. But now that woman's supposed to be prosecuted, placed behind bar. But they're not doing it because you honor instruction from the city. You see why I say the justice minister have become a complete embarrassment to the country. Look, somebody that learned, somebody that got his own property, allow yourself to be used by people that don't know nothing. They're walking with their back, they sell at the front. I'm disappointed in the justice minister, seriously. I hold that man with high esteem. The respect I have for that man. No, the crazy man in the street say I got respect for him than the justice minister. But now that was supposed to be under investigation. Because there is a state crime. This is a serious crime. And they look at it, Gobi. At the end of the day, people run to the court. Then the court will not get good judgment. Therefore, have to run back to the butch or the butches. People say, how walking? This is the rule that walk and follow to come. Now they roll here, they roll. The way they started for the registration process. That they roll here, they walk and follow to come. We're not praying for war. That is why I'll be writing the justice minister, that CDC justice minister, I will put him on record to send for that woman. That woman have been investigated and found guilty by and sacked. So let her come to answer some questions. Have they done that? The fool to call her. That Jefferson you can tell justice minister say come to my heart. Me, justice minister. I who supposed to be arguing with the president. The justice minister is the only person that got authority to differ with the president of this country. Or any country. Any country, because he's the legal person for the country. But can the justice minister do it? It may just become a complete embarrassment or waste to the country. Sometimes I get frustrated. The political leaders need to wake up to this issue. The fact that this woman has been dismissed from her office, that means something is in it. We need to raise the red flag. We shouldn't wait now. We shouldn't wait now. Then when election is here, we say, oh, you can raise the one. I will move from behind you. That raising you, listen to me good. I will move from behind them. I will say I didn't raise no issue. The time I raised it was the time we were supposed to follow it. And people doing more. Can you imagine that I got evidence on my phone? The people going to schools. Natal Magazine going to schools. Paying the schools. The statement coming from me. I'm calling names. Telling the school, say, look, this is money. This is money. The institutions are telling the student, when you get voter registration card, you pay for the year. One of the men know how to say John is going to school. Like the way John we are used to be in school, he used to be way to the back. When they put 3, 2 times, 1, 2, then there, you know, that's what our children will be doing. Because they're passing on voter registration card.
Yeah, you know, Honorable Yeke, your points are so concerning to me, really. You know, from what I'm hearing you say that the whole process is just not being followed correctly. There are people who are being registered as young as, you know, maybe early below 18. They're not meeting the requirements. But, you know, to tell you the truth, guys, and I want you to charm into this. I'm really torn because on the one hand, I want elections to happen. Okay. I want the process to happen. But on the other hand, I see that the process is not going on correctly. So I'm like, what do you do? Do you, I want to encourage Liberians, all of them, to go out to register to vote legitimately. I want to encourage Liberians, like if you're there and you're watching people doing things that they are not supposed to do democratically or legally, call them out, you know, like Honorable Yeke did. But at the same time, you know, we see all these flaws in the process. So what do we do as a group of people, Felmatu?
Yeah, well, I mean, one thing, you have your representatives speaking out.
I just said something to Flomo. The students in line, social students in line. Can Flomo put some of the pictures up, please?
Thank you, Honorable. He will. Thank you. Mhm. Yeah, Famadu, you can talk. Yeah, so we're seeing young people standing in line. There's no way to verify the ages, whether they are 18 or older, or if they are, I'm not sure. But yes, go ahead, Salamatu.
Yeah, we can look. Oh no, you can also you can I mean, yeah.
Is this registration line? Your people that picture back up again. So Liberians, you are watching Spoon. You see some of the students standing in line here. This is we're trying to establish, are they 18 years or older, which is the requirement to register to vote. So here we are. This is what we're watching here. Salamatu, what are your thoughts?
Again, we have so many. If that one thing I learned about Liberia, we have a lot of organizations. We got plenty of association, organization, all kind of group. These groups, what you're supposed to be doing is speaking for the larger group of people. That's how it's supposed to work. You got 50% organize one group, you got one person speak on behalf of them, blah 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 blah. So some of these civil society organizations, they need to, one, you have to put on record. You write the government. You put it on record. You write the government. You got plenty of international partners who are on the ground. I know, people can say, oh, let's lead the people then, let's take care of our own problem. This is part of our problem. So since you have a government that may not listen to you, you send it to just about everybody you can send it to. You send it to your senator, you send it to the international partners, you send it to the government. But the people who are in these communities as well, they also have to speak up. I mean, we can understand that, yeah, you're looking for that lema, but in the long run, how many times are we gonna say this? In the long run, your community will suffer. What Stanton said, are you better off today than you were 6 years ago? That's the kind of question you're supposed to be asking yourself. And then we also go back to the political leaders, people who are running for president. They also have to be checking this government. They also
they say are criticizing the opposition.
No. I mean, yeah, I'm a member of the opposition. I am a member of the opposition. But I say, we need to really bombard everybody who will listen with what's happening in Liberia. We have over 200 poll watchers or election monitors in Liberia. They're there. If there's no violence or they center low fund, they're not going to do anything. The point not there to go stop you from fighting. They're there to observe, to see what the process is like. You have to also work along to raise the issues of what's happening. Liberian people we've gotten too complacent with, oh, just let it be so. That our biggest thing, oh, just leave it alone. Oh, you know what? It not happen, so let you leave it alone. Why? Ain't you let it write? Just let it talk, put it on paper. Put it on paper, send it to everybody.
The white people can only report.
They put let it read. Yeah, you put it on paper and you be surprised. I go back to these international conventions that we can be attending and signing. When we say we part of the global society, the global network, when we put our ink on that paper, we can be held accountable as a country without suffering the citizens. But the citizens have to be the ones to initiate these things. They have to initiate it. We got our international partners on the ground. They're seeing things. When they talk, we say, oh, that's not diplomatic. Y'all shut up.
All the people intervening, our problem, we are solving.
Yeah, they intervening. I see people going to for money.
Yes. Yeah, before I go on to you, Mr. Johnson, so like how you are speaking about incompetency, it seems like our check and balance system is not working. We don't have data synchronization. Yes, data synchronization, where we can say, okay, those children that we saw, if there were records somewhere to say, their age group,
or they have the birth certificate, what registered in some system.
Exactly. So that is what whoever is regulating, this government is regulating our elections. It's depending on, but what they fail to know is in the developed country, we do have biological ways to determine. So if Yeke has that picture, please keep that picture, Yeke, because we have ways to determine at least chronological age.
Even the growth and development of your organs, they can.
That's right. That's what I'm talking about.
That's scared of boy out with signs, yeah.
Yes. So no, but then it was saying
but some of them are physical features. They're not even computer stuff. Very normal physical features.
Yeah, that's what it will start. They will start by looking at your growth process physically, where you should be. They can tell you that, you know, who they can even identify your genetic code. So by you going in there and saying, oh, I'm young, I'm underage, and allowing these people to vote because you're not thinking, you think you can outsmart the Liberian system because we don't have data synchronization. Hey, you know, there's record. Yeke has record. We can question.
Our mothers can help us. Let them check on the children that are under age. Because they're spoiling the children's future. You show for the registration card, you pass.
But somebody said, the children, bring your parents. Bring your parents. Right. We want to see when you were born.
Yeah, and
when the children get home with the photo registration card, then the mothers tell the children, say, look, you're not supposed to have photo registration card. We're going back. Who told you to take the photo registration? Well, what understanding you took it? Why you took it with all our consent? We are your guardians. Why you took it with our consent? Then they can raise the red flag. There's Salamatu. Now you're talking, you know, and let Bagon be Bagon. Bagon will not be Bagon in this situation. Let me tell you the truth today. If the international community will sit, the thing go bad and they say Bagon be Bagon. If Joseph Boakai will listen to that craziness, or Alexander community listen to that craziness, I will disown them as my political leader. No Bagon will be Bagon in this situation. No Bagon.
Let us say, you know, when we get lazy, we don't
in fact,
then we sit down and say, oh, you know what, let it be so.
In fact, people were getting angry with Charles Bronski for going to court. They were angry with Charles Bronski because Charles Bronski decided to take the election result to court. They were there with the man, but the man can delay for blah 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 blah. Me, I only saying, ministerial council or church, you're sitting down. The time to talk, you're not talking. When God forbid, no, I'm just saying, Salamatu, because they can be the first to start releasing press releases when people jump in the streets. This is the time to prevent a scenario like that. This is the time to step up the pressure so that it can be so strong enough that even an international partner can say, we can't ignore this. No, your way. Then when God forbid, when something spills over.
But Mr. Johnson, Honorable Yeke Koloba made a point here. He said the mothers can help us. Remember when I believe the public relation officer from NEC said it only takes one person to question the identity or the age of someone who's voting, right? Yeah. If you're standing there. So maybe that's where Honorable Koloba is coming from. Let a mother or like one of the groups that you were talking about question the ages of those students. And then we can do further investigation.
Let me tell you why I'm careful with that ask. And I said it here from the beginning when people were saying, when people in the community see somebody strange, they might raise it. Let me be honest.
I know you did.
You are assuming that all of these parents are also not part of the deal. You are making an assumption that it is not some of these parents. Actually, some parents can go, in Liberia, parents can go bribe teacher for their children then to pass. So you're assuming that some of these parents, that's a danger with it. There are some honest parents out there, that will step out and, chastise their children and report them. But there are some parents who are the one collecting the money. The same way parents in Liberia can send their young little daughters to go sleep with BB government officials and to gain their money. And that is the reason why I'm careful to go there. To say we need to hold the right systems accountable for doing their jobs. Because I will tell you this, if a child shows up at a registration site, and I look at you, we in Liberia, Dr. Francine, we can tell you in grade 8, you in grade 9. I say, okay, that's fine. I will not deny you, but I need to see your parents to verify your age. If your parents can't, I want to see the birth certificate where you were born. Because if you were born recently, you were born in Monrovia, one of the major hospitals, and you have some kind of paper at least because they can give you paper. Where is that? Because that will start deterring people to know that, somebody might question you to go call your mom, your pa, and bring them first. Or the consequences should be so severe that when one person get caught, before you go tell another child to go stay online, when they see the consequences, they will know that I don't know if I want to risk it.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So mothers, if you're listening, you could get in trouble. If you cannot produce your daughter's, your son's birth certificate, so please help us here, mothers, parents, if you're listening. It is 5:29. I just wanted to ask, Sadamata, did you have to add one more thing? I want to go to the phone lines, and the question is how. And before we come back and talk,
the VP. Oh, you'll come out to the VP.
Yeah, yeah. So let's do the phone lines for like maybe until 5:45, and then we'll spend another minutes talking about our low expectation and how does that relate to a VP selection. Okay. So let's go to who's there? Diamond. If you're there, can we go to the phone lines? Yes. Diamond, ask our Liberian people, yeah, how can they help to verify that our election process is going according to the democratic process. Young people are not voting, young people are not registering to vote. So how can they help?
All right, folks. The number is to call 0777-771-075, 005-101075. Those are the numbers to call, and then you'll be live on Spoon Talk as well. Let's take this person.
Hello. Are they satisfied with the process?
Hello.
Yeah. Hello.
You live, sir? Let's hear you out.
Yeah, man. You here to the back going from Congo down Baru.
You're welcome. Go ahead, please.
I said, bro, thank you. You do well for us in the country. Yeah. You really fighting for us. Pero I can really admire you. Your way of talking, everything you do, I love you. You prefer for us, don't leave and go. We're depending on you. Because the people here, they won't kill us yet. So I beg you, I hold your phone. You prefer for us, yeah? Thank you.
Thank you.
On your side, we're asking God, all the guns and scenery people bring the country to fight you. It will go against themselves. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Hello.
Sir?
Yes, sir. Let's hear you.
Okay, this is Adodi Bokwa from Boston Junction.
You're welcome, sir. Go ahead, please.
Oh, so, JP, Marshall Johnson here. The process is okay. I've been there from the start, and today I was there. So the process is okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that information. Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Yes, sir. Let's hear you out.
Okay, this is James. Call from Duporo.
You have to kindly reduce the volume of your radio.
Okay.
Feedback.
Thank you. But what I want to advise Yeke continue to put fear in this country. Every evil that is planned that it will not happen. When you plan that any election that will go against them, that they will bring war in this country, it will go back to them. If you read the election said that people plan will go against him, we're not here to fight war. This is what they say election. Go to the election. Who the people vote for, they vote for you. When they not vote for you, a level Liberian people.
Okay.
But don't be testing the country all of the time to be putting fear in the people.
All right, thank you.
Let him try to post up to that. The people will not be putting him because you not go to school. The people will not be putting him in front all of the time to be threatening the government, causing the government putting fear in the country.
All right.
So that's what I want to say.
Thank you. Thank you for expressing your thought. Hello. Hello. Okay, we lost that person. There's 0777-771-075, 555-101075. Hello.
Hello?
Yep. Let's hear you out.
Please, I'm on a show. I will not call my name for security reasons. But I'll call to encourage the Honorable Mr. Koluban. We know it is because of us you are going through what you're going through. But we can assure you, for me, I live in District 2. If I would be a trucker, I would be a trucker. I live in District 2, but I don't have no interest. My household and myself left today. We went on the oral. I registered because I want to see you being re-elected in District 10. So I beg you, we are on your side. But some of us just say it openly. We know it is because of us and your family lady far from you today. We know it is because of all that you having sleepless nights. So we beg you, God is going to sing his angel to protect you. No matter what you say, don't feel deterred. We that are behind you, we are doing it in secret. Please, I tell God to beg you, honorable man.
All right, ma. Thank you. 0777-771-075 555-101075. Hello.
Hello.
Yep. Let's hear you out.
Hello, this is Manda Badler calling you from Sokome.
Welcome, Mr. Barkley. Go ahead, please.
Uh, what I want to say about Yake should try to carry the good work he's doing to carry on. One day, those others they will listen to him. He shouldn't get angry and then just leave and then say the truth is. I'm begging him, I'm talking to him. Those others way war on your head until nothing says they have to do. You get this person, one person over. The day you get vested, you get who are supposed to will draw inside. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. James Goodey, can we get at least two more callers, Diamond, 5 international callers, and then we go into our topic about the vice presidential pick.
Okay. Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Let's hear you out.
Yeah, this is Alexander Jackson calling from Highway.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I don't want to ask Yeke Kolowa to keep the faith, to be strong in the process, because I know they attack too much on him. I was living this system before. I'm going to come for him, but I'm anyway kind of sitting in the house in our valley. I want to tell you something, and keep the courage and be strong in the process. And the thing that's it today on earth, and I would want to neck and neck. So the reason the saga woman is a very good thing. And continue doing a good work. And I mean, I care what happened. You win the election. Let the people keep bringing up people there. You get all the people that will tell you all the time to be on your start. Let them be careful at all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello. Okay. One more caller, and this person is already on the line. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Let's hear you out. Look, you have to reduce the volume of your radio set, sir. The feedback.
Birth certificate. We need the woman back going to husband when you begin pregnant. Carry your resident both pregnant the time you got pregnant for that child. Then the vaccine card, because we don't have the money to go do how do we call it, birth certificate expensive. So you carry a vaccine card and carry your pregnant book. Don't put in your pregnant book saying they're going to easy for your child. They did it with my son today. So I collected all the mother collected the pregnant book, collected the vaccine card, went there, the rest of the card today. The easy way.
All right, thank you. Dr. Richardson, it's over to you and James to take international calls.
Thank you. James, can you please come on, please? Let's hear the Liberian people. What are their thoughts about the registration process that is going on in the country? And also the new revelation that Yeke just showed us, that some children are underage. They're perceived to be underage based on the way that they appear, are participating in the registration process.
Hello, James.
Your name and where you calling from?
My name is Andrew. I'm calling from the Netherlands, Holland.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Good evening, everyone on the show. I must here debunk Mr. Johnson. What Mr. Johnson stated about state houses around the world, where he talking about decommissioning the Liberian executive marshal. Mr. Johnson is far-fetched and they don't know reality. I live in the Netherlands. The Parliament House is more than 175 years old. Even the State House, 10 Downing Street, every year they spend millions of dollars just to renovate it, to keep it up. So Mr. Johnson needs to understand and stop down talking and condescending on the Liberian government and its people. You can smile with a smirk on your face. That's being very disrespectful, Mr. Johnson. I realize that you're too boastful, and I'm very glad that you're building a library, but that does not make you a better librarian than any other person. Thank you for the time.
All right, thank you so much. Okay. Hello, okay. I lost that call. So to be a part, you can call +231 555 11 11 99. plus 231-555-11-11-99 is the WhatsApp number. Just call on WhatsApp. If you call that number direct, it's not going to go through. So call on WhatsApp plus 231-11-11-99. Good evening.
Yes, hello, how are you?
I'm okay. What is your name and where you calling from?
Yeah, I'm Joseph Jackson and I'm calling from the US. I just want to make a few points. Thank you to the panelists in studio. Thank you to our big honorable Yeke Koliba. I just want to say this. The only language this CDC government understands is protest. For you giving press releases, doing this, doing that will not help the process. Now we see our biometric voter registration have been fraud. So we should gather our people, the opposition should come together and start the protest in normal. Because we going to court doing this and that, the government will not do nothing about it, and the election will be rigged. So I'm just calling on all my opposition leaders to come out in their numbers and schedule this protest. Thank you for following the time.
All right. Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, good day, and everyone else in the studio.
What can your name and where you calling from? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, my name is Musa Kone, and I'm calling you from Maiduguri, Nigeria. Look, beginning with Honorable Yeke and all the rest of the crew in the studio there, we say thank you every day for the good work you are doing, exposing the ills of our society to the Liberian people. It is too sad we see ourselves at this level today. But what I can say is that Honorable Yeke, don't give up. Because the moment you give up, you give credence to all those negative things to continue to happen in the communities. And I can say that I'm so disappointed, like Six Salamatu said, all those political leaders, all those different parties that sit around there and do nothing, none of them has ever hold a press conference to say, look, what's happening is wrong. We need to do something about it. I think our society is heading for trouble. And I think it is high time that everyone should stand up and speak to power. Thank you for your good work.
All right. Let me get this. Good evening. Hello.
Hello.
Your name and where you calling from?
I'm Abraham. I'm calling from Norway.
Okay, sir. Go ahead.
I just want to thank Honorable Kolova and everyone that is on the show tonight. This topic is very, very important. I think the question that Dr. Richardson is asking, all of us that are calling, we are not addressing the issue. Now that this woman has been found guilty and kicked out of the system, what is the remedy? She has already polluted the system. So I want to suggest that it is now time for the opposition to take a stand. Take this woman to court. Let's take this woman to court and see what the people will do. This will prove that the opposition has an evidence for, in case if the election does not go, well, if there's any cheating in the future, these are some of the evidences they have to use. So I think it's not just to say Honorable Kolova continue. Yes, we can ask Honorable Kolova to continue, but I think this is about time to take action. Let something be done. CDC has given us another weapon to test the system.
All right, thank you. You are muted, Dr. Richardson.
Thank you so much. Thank you, callers.
That's all?
Yes, that's all. That's all for now. So we're gonna go back and thank you, callers, for weighing in your thoughts and opinion on this subject matter. And a thought came to my mind, Leo, as the callers were talking. I tend to agree with you that we don't want people questioning other people's ethnicity, but I'm seeing a new trend, which is the trend of having underage voters. Okay. And I think I think citizens can take the responsibility of saying, listen, you don't look old enough to vote. I want further investigation on your age. Perhaps a mom can come in or a dad can come in and present, maybe that somebody said a vaccination card, since it may not have money to go and get a birth certificate, or give us some kind of narrative about the mother's age, timing of birth. So I that's why I want to side on that side of saying no, not ethnicity, because we don't know Liberians can be made out of many shape and form, but under age at this point, I believe we have some evidence.
No, I actually agree with you, Dr. Richardson. I'm just saying, let's not pull the owners, because technically it is the net workers that are supposed to be raising this question and questioning it so somebody can bring it. What I was saying is, putting it on the parents, we're assuming that all of them, actually want to see the right thing happen, and some of them do not.
Somebody who's standing in line, somebody who somebody who's there, or a Liberian citizen who is concerned and who wants a correct process. Yes, Alamatu, come on in, please.
Well, here's the reality. And as much as it might hurt us, we don't have a national ID system.
Yes.
So never forget that. Yeah. So you bring my mind. If I inside with it, I would say the 18. Number two, you got limited staffing at these centers. You don't have a lot of staff there. You got one person that's responsible for one machine, maybe one person that's responsible for opening the door. There's not a lot of staff who are there, right? We've already heard a lot of complaints about the machines, that there are places that only one machine and it's taking forever. You also have the issue of the solar panels versus the rain. So you have all of these issues, and now we're saying we should add an extra step to make sure the rightful age is in line. That's what we're saying.
And we're talking about the incompetency of the people who currently running the registration process. They just think that only looking at somebody, that the only way you can tell how old a person is. And I'm saying there's genetics, there's ways that in a developed world that we can tell. We can look at somebody's physical future. We can even look to your bone structure, your organs, how, so if anybody wants to challenge the age of anyone in this process, it can be done.
But let me play devil's advocate. I think we should step away from using, I see you look like XYZ, so therefore you're this age. This is the same problem that we ran into with names. You don't have this name, so therefore you're not Liberian, blah, blah, blah. We need to get into the habit of checking government at number one. All of these students that are in line, they're supposed to have some type of identification, some kind of way. If they don't have any identification that shows that they're 18, they should not even be allowed to be on the line. The second thing I would say, we saying the opposition. One of the things the opposition should do, just how they can have people poll watchers at polling stations during the elections, they also need to make sure that some of these polling stations, they have their people there also like watching, investigating, and then when they find out what we already know, you take the government to task. I mean, this is where people cheat during the election, the poll watching. CDC just allegedly whoever is registering these babies, they're just starting early with the whole cheating process. So since you know it, since we have access to knowing what's happening at a lot of these stations, you send your polling man to these stations. I mean, I don't understand. There are ways everybody acting like they're smart, but yet instead you got the people who are so corrupt just beating the system and giving the smart people a run for their money. You're not able to sit down and strategize. You got all these polling stations, you got poll watchers maybe beginning their work earlier.
So here is the interesting thing when I say Salamantu, you're thinking about thing I say, I was telling you. How serious can the opposition be 6 months to election? Your poll watchers training haven't been completed, they're not lined up yet. Poll watching and now at the election night. The election night, I get to make sure nobody do anything funding. The poll watching is supposed to be scrutinizing and tightly policing the voter registration process. That's the real work. But the opposition party not even know yet when they will start asking people to poll watch yet. So how are you going to do it again? When we talk about preparation, political party and waiting for election, 2 months of the election to start getting ready. So you made a very brilliant point. Because if each of those, and in fact, it's easier to do this time around because they're doing it by session. They're only doing a setting session right now.
Right.
You're supposed to flood those places with 3 poll watchers, every single one to change shift during the day, so that one person not there all day. You do 3 shifts in the day. So what you're doing, you the poll watcher, you get a right to stand up and challenge the age of a young girl standing in line. Now you're right. Let that young girl standing in line prove that she's 18 or above, because that's what next says. Next time anybody challenge, you will have to prove it that you're a Liberian citizen. You need the qualification. So we blaming the government. When I talk, they say I honor cause the decision for against the opposition. I'm not against anybody.
It depends on who you're talking for the day. You talk about this where you.
So if you want to be serious, then let's have serious conversation. Where are the resource mobilization to say it's easier to manage? Right now, they're only doing a particular section. So you got to worry about having poor waters across the whole country. You can concentrate all your energy. All the people who can be doing muya sounds. What are volunteers then?
Yeah, so you guys are making some excellent points, honestly, really excellent points here. I want Honorable Yeke Koluba to come in. You heard what Leo Johnson is saying. He said that he needs poll washer all over, and you heard what Salamatu is saying about the student ID piece of it, which I'm still question a little bit. Do all of the schools have student IDs? Are the students able to afford the IDs? Those are all things I like to know before I, say that student ID would be a good evidence to show the age. Go ahead, Honorable Koluba.
So that I think the parents can help us on the voting day. If you know your child is under age, do not allow them to go vote. That's one of the ways they can help us. If you know that your child is under age, because the first-time voters are going to make the wrong decision for us. They are in majority. And that particular group, CDC is spending money on now. Everywhere you pass, they will tell you the first-time voters. So they're investing too much in them and misleading them, playing on their minds. But the parents can be of great help to this situation. If I know my child is under age, the voting day, I will make sure he don't go nowhere. Maybe you will have a voter registration card, but I will make sure he don't go nowhere. If we are waiting on the schools, the schools to help us, no, that the schools, the people using, spending the money on the teachers and the principals. So you think they will see one 13-year-old, they will say that 13-year-old, they will even say that 22, because they have to justify the money they're taking. And the next issue is, people talk about this person that was sacked. I'm consulting my lawyer and myself talking every day. I am taking the woman to court. If I don't have the resources, I will have the resources. I will call on people to help in the process. Look, precedent need to be set. This woman will be taken to court. I want the justice system to get involved with politics. I want treat them at George Weah. Look, I will have no regret to talk to anybody in the justice system the way I talk to George Weah. I will have no regret to talk to them like the way I talk to Kennedy Weah, because you're Kennedy now. And the next issue is, people talk about, you can talk about war. Are we not in war? People die every day. The president come on and say the people are having sex in the car. People being wounded every day. Justice Minister cannot give no report on it. Oh, that because we're not taking gun, you think we are not in war? The war we're in right now is more than gun. People being killed. Where are the findings? Where are the findings? Because your citizen will say, Bagon will not be Bagon, and I'm not making my war on this. I dare Ambassador Boakai. I dare Honorable Kumen to come take it from me and say, Yekele Bagon be Bagon. If I'm closer to him, somebody will show mark to you people. One of them will show mark to you people. Because that means
no putting mark on the people here.
No, I mean, I'm not talking about gun business. I'm not talking about gun business. But they will tell the Liberian people what Yeke did. You know, those are my political leaders. But they will feed it hard for me. That means we have betrayed the cause of the Liberian people. And I listen to Potom, don't be deterred. I am not going nowhere. Yeke is not going nowhere. Not because I get frustrated sometimes and say some things. Oh, I'm getting tired. I'm not getting tired. If I was going to get tired, I was supposed to be from 2018. If people think I'm getting tired, we just started. The energy just started from the voter registration day. And the energy will be all onto October 10th. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Yeke. Oh, So we want to transition now to move on to our next conversation here. I'm just going to tie this into something that Leo said and something that I had on my mind to discuss today, as I said. And it is the danger of low expectations as it relates to picking a vice presidential candidate. Okay. So I'm going to basically again go to Leo and then to Salamatu and then to Honorable Kaluba about this danger of picking a vice president, the danger of having low expectations as it relates to picking a vice presidential candidate.
Okay. Is it me or Salamatu?
It's you and then Salamatu.
No, so before I go, let me just say something quickly, Dr. Richardson, because a lot of people have been calling me and texting me about, oh, you might be careful before the people stop your library project. I want to address it to the right on spoon. That's not my library project. You know why I'm bidding on my private land? You know why I beg Salamantu or Apinzio City Hall? When the project started, we worked with the government of the city at the time to make sure it's on public land because it's public project. It's for the people of Liberia and not Leo Johnson money from his pocket. Yes, I may have mobilized the resources. I may have raised $2 million to put it down. But guess what? I told those people to give me $2 million for the public good for the Liberian people. I'm putting on my private land because I don't want my people, when I die tomorrow, my people get it and say, oh, I was some land, that I was some property. You can take it from here. So if anybody wants to, and let me be frank with you, all governments have cooperated with me. I will not lie here. Now, one government have stood in my way. Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, Honor Sylvette Gibson, Honor Letitia Reeves, Honor Mayor Pam Taylor, and President Weah's government. Nobody has given me, if anything, they facilitated in some cases. So let me tell you, the library project, when you want to stop it in the net, you will stop it. And on Pizza City Hall Lane, you can leave it standing there unfinished. Now, I'm to my hall, If on Pizza City Hall Lane, you're not like it, you go stop it. Enough for me, that I'm a private property. You stop calling me and asking me questions. You're not scared before they stop your library. No, say you're not scared before they stop the Liberian Library Project. And no government has threatened me or have any issue. If anything, they've all cooperated at all levels. The executive, the national, the city government. So you leave me alone. When you want to do witchcraft to stop it, you do witchcraft to stop it. That you're in Pins, City Hall people will argue it on your property head. And I mean, let's go to the question about the low expectation.
The danger of low expectation as it relates to vice presidential.
I want to shut the conversation down so nobody can be mentioning it to me again. You leave me alone. You want to stop it? You stop it. My paycheck still in my account, and I mean paying for it. The public money. VP issue, and as it relates to the low expectation. Here is the problem, Dr. Richardson. 6 months to the election, we are talking about VP. And the conversation we are having is which country, which tribe the person from, which country they come from, and because we can't afford to lose the other tribe or the other country because the people plenty. This is the conflict. That's the danger of low expectation, that we think you might win an election by hook or crook, even if it means you bring a criminal. But if that criminal comes from a place that is popular, bring a criminal, they win the election some kind of way. First of all, you would have thought when somebody picks a VP, the first thing they do, or potentially scout someone as a VP, the first thing they start to look for, where do we align? What is the strategic picking for this person? What do they add to me beyond the tribe? The questions we should be asking, what decisions have this person made in the past? What leadership have they demonstrated in the past? Are they capable to be president on day one if something happens to the president because the person steps in immediately? Is this person the kind of person we want to be advising our president? Have they demonstrated anything? If they are from the legislature, the question we should be asking, what is their track record in the legislature? How many bills have they passed? What type of advocacy have we seen them doing? What type of leadership have they demonstrated in the legislature? Now, the person from Nima. Look, let me tell you something. You think Nima people crazy? So anytime they can hurry that, just show up, they can speak your manner. If you're Nima, they might vote for you. No. And I will say this to everybody. The danger of low expectation is the fact that we are ignoring all of the names that could have surfaced for vice president because we say they're not popular or because we say they're not from a big tribe. So we've already cut out a whole slew of people just on the basis that the low expectation, anybody who get plenty of people running behind them, let bring it. Anybody who got loud mouth that can scream all around, let's bring it. And this is what people don't understand. Certain people are good advocates. They are not good governors. The skill set you need to be an advocate is totally different from the skill set you need to be a governor. To govern, it takes people who understand the complexity and who are tolerant enough to embrace people who criticize them so they can learn the hard lesson. When you saw the vice president looking for that vice president for the Republic of Nima, or the vice president for the Republic of Lofa, or vice president for the Republic of Bon, or vice president for the Republic of Rivers, are we looking for a VP for the Republic of Liberia, regardless of their tribe or where they come from? Yes, we agree it's important because that's how we identify geographically in Liberia. But that should not be the point. And I would say this to people. Look, the people of Nima County have honored Senator Prince Johnson all these years. If you were a Nimbayan and you were living under the Dole regime those days, you would have hailed Senator Prince Johnson. Because the reality of the movement is they were desperate. We all know the stories. Despite Prince Johnson atrocities that he committed, in the context of the Nimbayans and what they were faced with, what he did made sense. So they have honored him for that sense. But guess what? Thank God we to a place that we're not fighting war anywhere, nobody targeting any tribe to kill him. So we beg the Nimbayans, you're hang Prince Johnson a war on the wall. You're thinking, we agree, right? You're pulling on the wall. But Prince Johnson is the past now. We're 20 years away from the war. We need the Nimbayans to start telling us what kind of future they see for Nima County, and not about who may have saved them 20 years ago. Thank God Prince Johnson is not running to be president anymore. Nimbayans need to introduce the future to us. Who are the next crop of leaders of Nima that reflect the future of Nima County, the Republic of Liberia? That's why if our Cummins, let's talk Ellis Cummins before I close. If our Cummins, or if I were advising the Cummins people, if they won't pay, then I come out getting free advice tonight. There are two people I see in the country.
Listen, yeah, Pastor Richardson.
Taking notes and everything.
There are two people I see Cummins can change the narrative with right now in the election. Number one, Cummins can decide that he wants to prove that among the old guards, there are people who have kept their integrity and maintained it intact in spite of all the corruption that we've seen. And he can throw the monkey wrench to tell Nima County people, say, let me show you the future that Nima can help deliver for Liberia. By bringing Tiawon Gonglo, that we're now no longer talking about the people who fought the war on behalf of Nima, but we're talking about the people who have what it takes and the competence to lead Nima to a place that Nima needs to be elevated and inspire the entire nation to move forward. Councillor Gonglo stands tall in our order, and besides, he has a national appeal beyond just Nima County. Councillor Gonglo has worked across the country. Look, it's a good title to be called poor man lawyer. It's a very good title to be called the poor people lawyer that everybody can go to. If Cummins wants to change the narrative and say, you forget the past is too complicated, we don't need it, we need the future, I will advise Alexander Cummins to select Councillor Charlene Bromskin because she is competent, she is qualified, and she has shown her sophistication even in the midst of the Liberty Party saga. She stood tall and played the role more of a unifier and tried to continuously facilitate and play by the rules. Number two, her father has been a major political figure in Liberia. You would have thought she would have lined herself up to immediately take all her party, like the way we can see in Liberia, when her party was actually leaving the scene. No, she actually tried to support the process to ensure that the party gets its own leader, and not just because she's the daughter of Charles Bromskin. She runs a successful law firm. The woman smart. The woman inspires female leadership. She's young and competent. Show the Liberian people what the future of Liberia looks like. That is the type of conversations we need to be having. Not on what tribe you from and what country you from. So Cummins can change the dynamics and the current conversation by either elevating competence and showing that, yes, you can be competent and popular and have been in positions of trust with Tiawon Gonglo, or Cummins can say, let's introduce a new future for what Liberia should look like by bringing in a young, competent, qualified person that is capable of being president on day one. Anybody show me a VP that can beat any of those people, then let's have a conversation.
Good. So Leo and Samantha, I beg you, before we move to you, okay?
Yeah,
the free advice. I
want you to speak to the Liberian people because something tells me that the presidential candidate, and I'm making a big assumption here, okay, may not have a problem picking, someone like Tiawon Gonglo or Charlene Bromskin. The issue is the danger of low expectations that our people have that seem to be stuck on tribal lines, religious line, friendship line. Okay, that's the danger that we are in right now. So I want you to speak to Liberian people, even though I know you made a contrast between going to that danger or moving our country forward. So can you speak to them, because that's where I think the problem is.
So the question I will ask Cummings and everybody that are running, if they are honest to themselves, are you just trying to win an election, or are you trying to transform Liberia? Because sometimes, Dr. Francine, you actually win when you lose. The process of transforming Liberia is not going to be by a particular election. You might be able to introduce a new dynamics into the Liberian political field that maybe you may not win. Let me put it that way. I'm not yet saying because you need many of these people, you will win. But maybe you may have sparked something that 20 years people will come to you and say, thank you. I always use Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. as an example. He looked like a crazy man when he was telling people, say, oh, non-violent, peaceful movement. Malcolm X said, if a white man kills a black man, don't let him survive to kill another black man. So he was popular at the time because it seemed effective. Dr. King said, no, we're not doing that business. In fact, the black community said Dr. King was so crazy that the only way he could see black people being freed out when he would go to bed and dream. That was in a dream. That's how sucker he was when the people were putting dogs on them on the streets and bringing out the police. Today, Dr. Richardson, where are we? We need to start inspiring our leaders to make the commitment to Liberia that they themselves may not be alive to see the fruition of it. That is nation building. So Cummings need to ask himself the question, do you want to commit to nation building, or do you only want to commit to winning the 2023 elections? And if you want to commit to winning the 2023 election, then don't listen to me, walk away. Because these options, yes, they might make you win the 2023 election. If you go to yourself, put yourself in some kind of mango situation, and you win 2023, you might become a failed governor because the processes you allow yourself to get involved with that made you win makes it practically impossible to govern. That's where we've been for a long time. So I would rather Cummings clearly distinguish, are you running for nation building for the long term, or are you only fascinated with winning 2023 October? Because if you are only fascinated with winning 2023 October, then all of you are the same people, man. Let's have a conversation about nation building. And I insist, I dare anybody to show me your own potential VP pick against the two I just named, and let's have the debate.
Thank you so much. Famada, I want you to chime into this conversation. Leah is talking about the balancing rule where, I want to win Nima County, since I'm from Lofa County, so I want to have the balance of popularity contest so that we all can win. And we see now countries are moving towards the partnership rule. Someone who can partner with me to govern our country, as opposed to let's balance it out. We get this vote from Nima County, we get this vote from Lofa County, and then we'll balance it out. Then we win the popular vote, okay, the 50% plus one. What are your thoughts about the balancing rule versus the partnership rule? And I want you to be very realistic, because I know some people might say this won't work in Liberia.
Yeah. Tribalism is real in Liberia. And there's the argument that people say the leader has to get there first, and then you make the change. That's the way we say it must be done, right? Which it makes sense sometimes when you're working in Liberia and you see what's happening. When we look at the different government agency, it wasn't too long ago when we went to Ghana and we decided in order to stop the war, we'll give this war infraction, this agency, we'll take the other, and the war infraction, there are a bunch of tribes. So you take their tribe here and you get in the Ministry of Finance, and you take another tribe, you get in, blah, blah, blah. So it wasn't that long ago. So, when we say Liberia is very tribalistic, usually that's where, my frame of mind goes to. But I will say this, when you start to talk, you go to the attire shop, you start talking to the people, the issue isn't tribe. The issue, believe it or not, are the same issues that I think a lot of people in developing countries have. They want their children to go to school. They want the place to be safe. They want peace. They want security. They want to go to work. They want jobs. It's the same issue that they raise. So from my experience, I've realized that, perhaps maybe a lot of our issue isn't tribalistic, but we have people in position who use that, or it's a tribal thing because it works in their advantage, and it continue to keep that divide amongst Liberia. Not saying we don't have a tribal issue, but I think sometimes there are people who, as you know, they take it to another level that really does not exist, simply because they want to divide and conquer. All right? Everything that Leah was saying, exactly. I don't know, is it because we part of a different generation, or maybe we've been outside of Liberia too long, we not see how the rest of the world, with their own racial issue, the gender issue, how they're operating, and we look at Liberia and say, you know what, it's time for us to get out of the box and start operating a little differently. Let's try, let's try something else and see. Now, the people on the ground, when we say, it seemed like they just used to mediocrity, it also could be because they are tired. They feel like everybody not come and lie to them. So anybody that come and talking, you start basing it on your experience from just the other day. Somebody came, they told us they were going to do this and they didn't do it. So it just could be the fact that people have settled for mediocrity simply because they are just tired. They feel like people will lie to them, nothing will change, that how their life will be. So they would just stay there. If one good thing happen, that's great. If nothing happened, as long as we're not shooting in Liberia, everything fine. Yeah. But like I said the last time we're all on this panel, we all have a responsibility to sensitize, not just educate, let lead our word, to sensitize the people on what we know and what we feel could make a better Liberia. Okay, so yeah, we may see it as if they are used to mediocrity. I don't think they're necessarily used to mediocrity. I will tell you a short story. When I was at Painesville City Corporation, one of our biggest challenges was dirt, removal of dirt, organizing dirt, and honestly, it's one of the most difficult things. People think it's just easy. Oh, why they can't just go pick up the dirt and just chunk it somewhere? It's a difficult system. There's one community, it was like we were fighting more to clean that community than they were. And sadly, I started thinking, I said, you know what? Maybe they're okay in that dirt because I already know. And most of the dirt that were in their community, it was there for like more than 20 years. I mean, when I tell you they had dirt pot up where they had dead body inside the dumpster. Yes. Yeah. Imagine you have dirt for the past 20 years and nobody actually came and cleaned. You just partner up. Then somebody check coming to you all day talking about we clean it up when you got food to eat. So, at one point I say, you know what? This is the reality that they're used to. Until we can remove all of the dirt and not just clean the little, they're not going to see anything good in it. So mediocrity, we may see it as mediocrity, but I think a lot of times people just look at it, they feel defeated. They feel like this is the only way. The people coming here, they will talk, so let them talk, whatever they want to say. But I want to go to the VP pick. Yeah.
So,
I heard. Let me tell you.
Yeah, so actually, before you transition, I actually want to say that I actually think the whole idea of partnership with the community, okay, like you say, you're showing them what to do as opposed to that will help conscientize them, as opposed to saying, oh, we need to go get dumpster and trucks and all of that stuff. But anyway, that's another conversation. But go ahead with your VP.
You know what the funny Salaman, before you go, they can say you must govern before you win. I wonder if Dr. King will come and say we gotta wait for the Constitution to give human right freedom for it before we go for it. What will come happy? Go ahead, Amadia.
That's excellent points. Excellent.
People know the story of Dr. Martin Luther King. The scene where they can be criticizing people who's speaking out now. That's how they were criticizing him.
Was ostracized, alienated.
Yeah. So,
and the thing about it, and I'm sorry, I know the thing about it, Leo, when I think about it, the people who say you must win before you govern, they come from the very system.
The same system. Now what they're trying to repeat in your head.
These new ideas that you guys are introducing, which is the idea of instead of going to this balancing act, we must have the numbers right to get the 50% plus one. let's not go to a partnership act, okay? A partnership where whoever will be our vice president can rule on day one, can help us govern the country. Go ahead, Sadamatu.
That's why Obama won an election. You think Obama won election by fluke? Is the combined work from the days of Dr. King, building upon the Jesse Jacksons and them, that finally led to a black man raising his hands and being able to win an election in the United States.
Yeah.
Correct. We're going to the future.
But
here.
you know, y'all listening to the mandate of a vice president. That's what a vice president is supposed to do. Be ready to rule on day one. But no, not us. Yeah, we care about that in there. Yeah, you pass her, you this. And then, you know, the other day when I was reading the numbers, the percentage of the different tribes. And that's why I keep saying, I don't think it's tribal. I think we use it so much to our advantage that now it just become a thing where we're saying, oh, it's tradition, it's part of our culture. But when you look at the number of people that represents the Gio tribe, the Mano, the Crown tribe, then we should be saying there should be a Bassa president or a Pele president. Those are the two tribes that literally.
The Pele people, Samatu, Apele man. I just gotta put my hand out and convince all the people. You got the largest tribe in the country.
You know, they are saying before we go to Sadamatu, that's a good point. And before we go to Honorable Yeke Koluba to chime into this conversation, there are certain people in our culture that are using tribes to weaponize our democracy. That's based on what you guys are saying. Honorable Koluba, can you chime in? We're talking about the danger of low expectations as it relates to this vice presidential pick here. What are your thoughts?
Those two people are my political leaders. I like to be very careful when they come to this issue. But I think in my mind, Honorable Bwaka should be left. Will all be influenced by anything, by anybody to pick his running mate. Honorable Cummins should be left alone to pick his running mate. I'm going to stop here when it comes to the discussion. I'm going to excuse you people because I got messages for them. When I finish giving them the messages, I told the people that I had meetings with yesterday, day before yesterday, and the day before yesterday, that I will come to the public and tell them, this is what I said to you people, and this is what they put to me to tell you people. I got messages for Ambassador Bwakai. I concluded the last meeting yesterday. I should have started the meeting with them yesterday, but it was late. The last meeting was in Tuporo yesterday. The people of this country gave me messages for the both of them. And I will tear them with all fear of favor. If they don't listen, the people say I should come on the public radio and say the message they gave me, I have said it, and they may level them to take it. But I think what the Liberal people deserve right now is the ticket that can win. Don't forget about counties. Don't forget about who got money. Don't forget about who got numbers. But the Liberal people know the ticket that can win. And the people around Bwakai, the people around Komenshi gave him chance. They didn't stop telling him. Because in my mind, some people have taken money from some people to say, I will make sure you be vice president. You gave those people chance to pick the people. You stop it. And people around there now telling them, if I was opportune to be advisor to any of those people, the thing I would tell them, every day they want me around them. Because you will give me something, I will eat it and still tell you the truth. The people around those people need to stop. People around Bwakai, people around Cummins have met with people, giving them the assurance that we can make sure you be the vice president. That's not the way it works. That's not the way the Liberal people want it. They didn't give those two people a chance. They didn't decide on what they want to do. And tomorrow, I'm going to meet them. I will give them a message, and the Liberal people will know what I want to tell them. But I can't tell Liberal people now until I meet them. Let me say thank you and good night.
Thank you, Honorable Koluba. We really appreciate you. Thank you for the exposure that you're doing with the registration process. So we're gonna, if you're just joining us, you're watching Spoon. I'm talking to Salimatu and Leo Johnson. We're talking about the vice presidential pick. We started off talking about our voter registration process. Thank you for joining us. We're also watching the comment section as you write. We're looking as well. Thank you very much. So we're talking about this vice presidential pick, and we're talking about moving away from this popularity contest, this popularity that says if I'm coming from this large country and I get all the vote in this country, and you're coming from, this county, and I'm coming from this other county, we need to put our popularity together so we can get the 50% plus one, and then we win. Everything is based on number. Leo and to some extent Salamatu are proposing that no, we need to move to more of a partnership. We need to be able to ask, like he said, I want to know if I'm going to pick you as a vice president, I want to know your decision-making abilities. I want to make what decisions have you made in the past. So if we actually ask those questions to the people who they're looking for, the people who they're looking at right now for vice presidential candidate, what kind of answers will we get? What are those people's decision-making abilities? What are they doing right now in their capacity, whatever job they're in? What kind of decisions are they making? What kind of leadership skills have they demonstrated? How have they advised other people, people maybe that are in higher positions than them, or other people who are in lower positions than them? How have they advocated for anything in the best interest of Liberia or the Liberian citizen?
Especially Dr. Richardson, if they've held positions of power before.
Correct. Exactly. Thank you. Their communication skills, that's important to me, because we have a president right now who cut a speech for the Liberian people. So I'm actually looking for someone who would be robust in their communication. You need to tell us things that are happening in the country, because I believe that when there's lack of communication, you create a vacuum of rumors. People just keep talking anything, and those rumors are not necessarily good for our country. Someone who can have the heartbeat away from the presidency, that kind of stamina, because on day one, if anything happens to the president, you are then supposed to take charge. So looking at those requirements, and those are just basic requirements, okay, that we kind of put forth here. Professional versus personal. Can I talk to you? Have your professional is the decision-making skills, and the personal is, are we close? Can we connect to each other? We don't want to see the relationship that happened between Jua and George Weah. And I think it hurt our country, honestly.
It hurt the country for the first 4 years.
Correct. Thank you. I do. I think
people keep saying the vice president got nothing to do. That's not true. Under our laws, the vice president is responsible for the lottery, for the national marketing associations, the vice president. Actually, Joseph Boakai was the one who led the effort for the Montgomery Hydro funding for the Millennium Challenge Fund. It was Vice President Joseph Boakai that led that effort on Ellen, when Ellen had him leading that effort. So if you have a good vice president, the president can actually use them to full effect.
That's the key word. The president, if you have a good vice president, the president can use you to run different projects. As we see, Biden is in the United States dealing with something here, and Kamala Harris is running his U.S. policy in Africa. Okay, all right. So your thoughts is about 6:22. Let's go to our closing thoughts right now. Leo Johnson, I'll ask you for your closing. Oh, look what happened.
I see what a juicy part.
I think you were just sitting down with him.
You are rushing, so you can say something to him.
I'm gonna say something about that.
Yeah, I am so happy.
I'm on a breaking news. I just dropped
see all of y'all. I agree on something. I agree with it. I agree.
Yeah,
I agree with your
look. Father God, you go ahead and tell us what you disagree with us with, and then I'm gonna take a break. I need to make a phone call.
All right, yeah, let me go to this. All right, look, now you're talking, you gotta go check what are the people they gotta see blood test, they gotta see a DNA, all the things for you choose my president. No, I'm just exaggerating a little. Honestly, at this point, we need to stop the bleeding in our country. We need to remove
another potential thief.
No, nothing can be worse than what we have right now. We need
I beg to differ.
Well, it can get worse than what we have.
Those that we have right now, the option that we have right now, it can be worse than what we currently have. That's what I mean. So, Yeka said something. I was listening to him, and one of the things that came on, and I started saying it in the last couple of days. When I said it yesterday on this guy's show, and when I came here, I said the same thing about unity. Unity is the only thing that can defeat George Weah at this point.
What does that even mean?
What it means that People, look.
People who causing each other, you're still praying for them to come together.
Hold on now. It doesn't mean it's impossible.
How?
There is possible. What make it impossible?
Henry Costa will vote for Alexander Cummings. Is that what you want to tell me?
My man, you not see Henry Costa. Let me tell you something about Henry Costa.
No, I'm just using Costa as an example. Don't personalize.
No, that's a bad example because Henry Costa can support anything. Henry Costa not support Georgia. Henry Costa hated Boyka before, now he love Boy. Have you seen video of Henry Costa? I beg you, man. My man, you want me to place on the thing that Henry Costa?
I don't want no 6 months to the election. All the people that are asking to unite, they say they are fundamentally divided, causing each other mad. But 6 months to the election, instead of you're preparing to do what needs to be done, you're still waiting here. Oh, the people, they're going to get unity. Unity for corruption, unity of purpose. Which one?
No, let me tell you something. In politics, everything is possible. This is not take your position, you say for better or worse to depth towards the path. Sometimes you have to look at the bigger picture. Right now, the Liberia is at stake. Bad governance is on the ballot. Corruption is on the ballot. Insecurity is on the ballot. We got so many things that are more pertinent than Joseph Boyka coming to court. I'm done. Don't think behind me. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you one fun, and I will share this to you. My older sister that had texted me yesterday when I said about this unity. You see, the thing about coming got some die people behind you, especially women head can be so hard, even when they don't change. I'm not saying it in a negative way. I'm telling you.
Let you talk
women behind me.
So you're trying to say that women behind Mr. Cummings are stubborn?
Sometimes women can be stubborn in their decision. My own sister, my older sister, she the text that she sent me 8.5 by 11 pages.
But Baka get women behind.
My man, Baka know about Baka women. I know about coming.
Don't be Lawrence behind Baka.
I mean, women in general.
Women, not woman.
Hey, not one woman. You know. So the thing here is, reality. At some point, reality have to sink in. I have done some soul searching. I have checked high and low and have studied our political landscape. We've been around for a long time to know exactly what is possible. Let me tell you something. If election is turning in one way, you can feel it. The CDC is panicking right now because they know that they are on the verge of being kicked out. Look, we have something good going in the CPP. When the CPP were united, look, can you imagine George Weah told the people that Dylan would now win? He pulled people here on and we flogged them. George Weah made a lot of pronouncement and he was disgraced when we had the CPP. Look, Boyka doesn't have the number. Let's face it. Cummings certainly do not have the number. That's a fact. Look, we all have people on the ground. We are operative in every county, every different constituents. And when the news that we are getting is that it doesn't mean that George Weah is more popular or he has done something good. What is happening here is that George Weah do not want the opposition to come together because when they split, it's an opportunity for George Weah to win. He could even win all round, one round. And most of you want to be adamant and stubborn, but hey, look, and this is the part that plenty of people coming people will get there with me. Honestly, had Cummings done what he should have done, had he leveraged his resources in the last 6 years, we wouldn't even be talking anything. 6 years later, we'll still talking about Boyka. Boyka is effortlessly getting some segment of the population. Effortlessly, just sitting down there because of his name recognition. What Cummings could have gotten with all name recognition to compensate for that, he did not do it. So they're almost on the same level. Cummings has the cash, he has the resources. Boyka have the name recognition, he doesn't have the resources as to run an effective campaign. Combine the two forces, it is unstoppable. We shouldn't be post-struggling because I'm telling you.
Fadiga, when is this supposed to happen when we're 5 months away from the election?
It is not possible.
So actually, and I'll let Salamatu chime in because I just want to have her thoughts here, hear her thoughts. So Fadiga and Salamatu, what Fadiga is saying to me, and you can add on to this if you want, or just bring your own thought, is that this is the danger of this low expectations that we're talking about here. When you're telling us that we should wait for unity for opposition party that told us that they're not going to be united in the first place, because we know that Liberian people.
No, they try to play politics. They didn't say they will not be united. They try to play politics.
No, they didn't play politics.
No,
they
they
said
try.
they took them into court. Cummings went to
They
court.
told them to court to say destroy the CPP, collaboration.
You're local at big up picture.
So you mentioned it. So the funny guy, you think that another danger is you saying Baka is effortlessly sitting down.
Telling that he will win.
So people will win. You know, that's a danger of law. So we can say that anybody can just sit down and
has been.
I have a question for you. Do you believe they want to put Cummings behind bars?
Fadiga, we will face that danger.
Fadiga, do you believe they wanted to put Cummings behind bars?
Put Cummings behind bars?
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you.
I don't want to know what you think.
I don't believe that they could have, they would have succeeded in.
I said if they would have. Do you believe they wanted to? If they
no,
had
I don't believe it.
Oh, you don't believe it? So you thought they just went to court to joke around and fool around? You
No,
thought people went to court to testify just for fooling around?
No, I know why they went to court. They went to court.
And I want to add something. I think you have to come in here. Is, you know, when we talk about these numbers, when we talk about the numbers, and I want you guys to help me understand this thing about numbers, okay? Look, we have a country where we already have seen the people are cheating already, so we ain't got good accurate of the census or the numbers. So I get somebody who used to factual information and statistical survey and stuff like that. I'm wondering what are you guys talking about? What numbers?
Doc, let me tell you something about Liberian people. Liberian got one of the most predictable voters in the history of voting. When Liberian people were ready to make bad decisions, they will make it, you will know.
So how is that predictable then? Swinging from one end to the other. How is that predictable?
No, I beg the difference. Liberian people are very unpredictable.
No, they are predictable. When Liberian people were ready, you will know who they will vote for.
You know, I meant to tell you. So I was able to pull the records from the NEC website.
Mm-hmm.
Their team is smart. So I was able to pull the number. But not they're not anything I did illegally. It's something that they didn't do. But I was able to pull all of the numbers from the last election, the presidential elections. And what surprised me, right, is the fact that Mr. Cummings was a newcomer. And he beat out so many recognized names on there. In so many districts, and people, Mr. Cummings, Mr. 7%, Mr. 7%. PYJ Mr. 8%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I've been saying all along.
Yeah.
PYJ got 147, he got 125.
Yeah, he was. I mean, and honestly, I was shocked. You know, as I'm looking at it. Yeah. Two,
what are we talking about here in terms of numbers?
7 years later, I will continue to say this. 7 years later, more, you know, there's new voters, there are younger voters who have gotten involved in politics. Two, all of us that sitting on the panel here, when I hear people say, "Oh, Mr. Cummings is the better choice," but that's my problem. We have a level of responsibility to also change the narrative. Why can't we not say, we keep saying, oh, let a man go at VP. These people came together. That was a CPP. That was the whole purpose of it. For them to sit down and say,
so let me ask you a question. Salamatu, let me ask you. Salamatu, let me ask you. Fadiga, you can also answer to this question. Do you have any evidence if VP Boaka, let's say, really wanted Cummings to run as vice president to him, like how everybody say, has VP Boaka ever made a genuine, serious proposal to Alexander Cummings one-on-one, and Cummings looking in the face and saying, Mr. Vice President, I reject this offer, I'm not doing it? Do we know?
I do not know, but it's not late.
Okay.
It's not late.
Okay.
I don't know.
I rest my
enough time. I don't think it's impossible.
Know who the insider is. I want
to political leaders.
The question is, there is still a possibility for it to happen. Let me answer something.
My thing is, it's a lot of possibility. There's a possibility that JMB may say, you know what, I'm not running. I'm no longer running, and I support Mr. Cummings. We need to change the narrative on that part. It can happen. there's a possibility that the two of them will run separately, and whoever make it the second round will get so frustrated.
We want a united opposition. You know why? The voters are not excited. That's my fear. You guys need to.
If the voters happy, if the voters is excited, I want to ask my own question.
Ask.
Are you happy? Are you better off today than you were before? If you're not excited about the election are coming in 6 months, you're waiting for people to collaborate and not collaborate. Are you better off today than you were before? You better go over there.
No, let me ask you. That's the wrong question. Let me tell you why that question is flawed. That question is flawed. Let me tell you one of the things that voters think on when they go to the polls. Let me tell you one of the things. Liberia politics. You know what people look at? People look at who get there. What am I going to benefit? You know, one of the things that drive voters away and make voters to go back to the abuser is because of that uncertainty. People do not want to touch the snake and beat it by the tail. People want to be sure that the opposition, if they are decapitating this government, they will take it straightly from the night, knowing that it will not survive. As soon as they get small incline or small hint that a lot of them men will not win or the thing that they're doing, look, that is what drives voters to either vote for the incumbent or just stay home. And this is what we are having. If the opposition cannot show that they will defeat George Weah suddenly, if they cannot come up with a ticket that will show that we will beat this guy, all right, people will either do two things. They will either stay home or they will go back to the government because they believe that if George Weah win and they do not vote for him, Papa and Mama will lose their job. Papa and Mama will not get what they're getting now. This is what motivating the people.
So, interesting, Papa and Mama hold the key.
And that's what we're trying to change.
George Weah president.
We want to be sure.
We want to submit to the very corrupt system.
No, you know what confusing Papa and Mama right now? Cummings and Brecker. Look, Cummings host there, we tire suffering rally. Brecker people then get on the street and say, you know what, they come and bring war. Coming the other Tony, that's subversion.
So you're not believing the all people then for behaving like children, for disrespecting the Liberian people. Let me ask you.
Sorry, guys.
I look at possibility. You look at impossibility. It is possible.
UJ, all the people that our VP for the last 12 years, Alexander Cummings, and all the people that in the hierarchies of these parties have run around slaughtering each other. Some of the cause they can't even put your children near the radio.
For all the facing
listen, but you don't want to put any blame on them. And the Liberian people.
Leo, what are you talking? So that means we should just say that Joe.
No, I don't want my child to emulate that nonsense that been happening.
Oh, well, your child got to get out and see a good society for. Let me tell you something.
So that who's supposed to bring it?
You have to be realistic. You see that one of the things that you
always say,
you know, my dad used to always tell me something. He says, son, the only right you have is one that you can defend evenly and successfully. Even if you have a dream, if you have something so burning in you that you want to achieve, it has to be realistic. I will give you one example that I learned. You see the female genital mutilation. Most time when people start to fight against female genital mutilation, the reason we start when I started in NGO a couple of years back, one of the problems we had was we just thought it was a cultural thing. What we did not realize that female genital mutilation was carried out by older women who used that as a job. That was the job. They were looking for more people to do because they were getting paid. So in order to just say it's a bad practice, stop it, they needed to have something to replace it. So what we found out was find better job, find something else that these women would do, whether giving them sleep for farming, giving them alternative. And for you don't see any gray area. You think that it should just happen. My brother, this is a cultural thing. This is something that has been going on in Liberia for generations. For you to come in, let me tell you something. Morality is relative. What you think is wrong that people are bribing and something, what you think is wrong? Who told you that? How do you come up with that fact that is wrong or right? And like someone say they hate gay, they hate something. Someone say it's corruption that is bad.
Corruption are wrong, right?
Bad. Who told you it's bad? I want you to understand this.
Okay.
That means two things can be right and two things can be wrong. You have to be able to have an open mind.
The man brief philosophy.
No, I just want you to look at.
But let's move to our closing.
Dr. Racing, just before you move, let me give an analogy here. I will be smart. I will be quick about it. It's like telling Dr. King that you are wrong for opposing Malcolm X during the civil rights movement. When Malcolm X said they should use violence against the white population, as when Dr. King said no, because this would just lead to more bloodshed, and it will not.
Who do you believe were right?
Let me finish now. It will not lead to any outcome. What will lead us to a fruitful long-term outcome will be peaceful, non-violent movement. And they were coming now, and the Black community were bitterly divided. Malcolm X had more supporters on his side than Dr. King. Dr. King, most people did not agree that Dr. King movement would have yielded result. Guess what? Dr. King stood his ground even in the face of being unpopular. He stood his ground. Today, we all run around. The great Dr. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King and blah, 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 blah. It was because he decided to not join what he felt was not going to lead. So you're telling me.
I disagree with you, my man.
Let me just finish. So you are telling us that Liberia needs to change, but you're telling us because the reality is so corrupt that we had an elderly statesman like Ambassador Joseph Boakai, Alexander Cummings. They came together, Benena Ure, Nomli Kanga Lawrence from these parties, came together and convinced the Liberian people that the best way for the opposition to defeat the government was through collaboration, right? Yeah. They came together, put together a framework document. The accusations came about that Cummings authored the framework document. And these people, eventually the court trashed it out with all the evidence. They had no evidence. But these people could not see that the bigger picture that you just mentioned was they could put their egos aside and say, gentlemen, even though
you're talking so that spilled milk, we are beyond that. You're talking about how
let me finish. That's how we can solve problem in Liberia, because you call it spilled milk. And you keep coming back to the same mistakes that we made in the past. Let me say this to you. These people did not have the responsibility. They did not care about the interests of the Liberian people. No, let me finish. No, let me finish. Let me finish. To see the big picture. Let me finish. To basically say Liberia, like the same thing you're asking us to do now, to say we must see the big picture. They see the big picture to say we are the leaders in this room. Liberia is the bigger picture. Let's get together and solve this problem before we destroy this country. If we believe what we say, we actually say. No, they told us they were ready to destroy everything until their way is done and no other way. They today, 6 months to the election, you won't come to me and say to me that, oh, let's forget it, people. We don't want to get to see the bigger picture. The bigger picture is let's stand for what we believe, even if we lose.
Thank you, Leo Johnson. So, Matthew, let's move to our closing so you can.
Oh, I thought the guy ran away. What problem? Yeah, he jumped inside when the thing was hot.
Somebody put me backstage. Y'all don't do that thing to me.
I could I playing.
No, the analysis Leo is giving is just flawed. Or Malcolm X and Dr. King, they are two different people. They both had different, perspective on how they wanted things to be done, and they are both heroes in their own right. I don't believe that someone could argue with you too. Someone could argue with you and say Malcolm X way was it better because white people were killing black people. And who are you to say that some of his method didn't work?
I didn't say it was wrong. I said Dr. King stood his ground and disagreed.
You make it seem that one was better. It's
Do you know Joseph Boakai playing? Do you know Joseph Boakai playing? Do you know Joseph Boakai playing for Liberia? The platform for Liberia, do you know it? Do you know Cummings playing? Are they synonymous?
It can't be. No, we got 23 political parties. All the platform they see. No platform. People don't even vote on platform. So your leader platform thing. Liberian people do not vote on platform. When I say we have to be realistic.
Then what your best president we have for? President, we have never had platform too.
He didn't talk about. He didn't attend the debate.
But let me say this. We have to be very realistic. Leo doesn't have any gray area. It has to be A or B. I mean, they have to
be having gray area.
Okay, so guys, I'm gonna move on to closing. We are hearing Father Guy is saying that he wants unity within the opposition party to remove President Weah. Leo Johnson here is saying no, Liberians have to stop the danger of low expectations by just supporting people because we want the numbers, we want them to win. And Sadamatu is educating us here on the whole Liberian situation. So we're going to move to closing. I will ask you to start, Sadamatu, and then we'll go to Fadiga, and then Johnson, and then I'll close.
Okay. I would say this. I think a lot of times people seem to miss when we do a comparison of Martin Luther King or the Malcolm X to what's happening in Liberia. It simply means that we're looking for leaders who go against the status quo and stand up for what they believe is the right thing. And a lot of times what they believe is the right thing may not be the most popular thing at the time. I think that's the point Leo was trying to make, that when Martin Luther King came up with his concept of fighting racial equality, it was not popular. And I always refer people to go read the letter from Birmingham. It's one of the most, brilliant pieces of writing, because everything he touched on is what we are experiencing now in Liberia, regardless of race. So leadership. When do you stand for something? Those who are on the sideline, do you continue to stand on the sideline and not say crap? Should I not say something because I'm not on the ground in Liberia, because I'm in America? Are only the people who are on the ground supposed to say something? Those are the kind of things that he touched on in the letter of Birmingham. Most of his quotes actually comes from that letter. So when we're quoting him, these are some of the things we need to be thinking about. When we say Liberia, if we are comfortable with not wanting a leader that has leadership skills, if we're comfortable with not having a manager that have managerial skills, if we are comfortable with a leader not having a platform or a vision to show us, if we're just simply interested in, or what tribe are you, and what you can do for my county, not even what you can do for my county, which is so sad. It's just pretty much, what tribe are you? Because all of these people who we believe were elected based on their tribe, they haven't done jack squat for their counties, left Toso and Toso. So if we're comfortable with just those type of things, then what do you want to change the current leadership for? Jeremy Face, go with Vex. If that's the case, then let him stay. The Liberian people, nobody can cry more than the bereaved. Some of us may not be on the ground. Some of us may have a emotional attachment to Liberia. Some of us may have investment in Liberia, physical as well, tangible as well as intangible investment in Liberia. And maybe that's why we care. But again, if the people who are actually going through the day-to-day suffering, if they're not able, that 6 years later, 6 years, you didn't have access to the information that you have now. 6 years ago, you wasn't sensitized on a lot of things before. You trusted a government who came and said, we stand with you because we're with you. So because we're with you, we saw the other people not doing anything, we care to do it for you. If you don't have the common sense to sit down and see that this man told me he was going to put one building here, he put a building there. If you are not able to see that, there's nothing else anybody can say to you 6 months prior to elections. We'll say go register and vote. If you are of voting age, go register and vote. The opposition is not in disarray. It really isn't. It may be frustrating to us because the questions that we're asking them, they're not answering it the way we want them to answer it, but they're really not. All of us here, we in America, we see how the two political parties are run here. You got the Democrats, before they go to the national convention, they're cussing each other, mom, each other pa. Sometimes you're looking at the people and you're saying, oh my goodness, are you guys going to come together? But once they go to convention and they decide on somebody, they all stand behind it. And the same goes for the Republican Party. Right now, we have a group of people who came together. Hey, it didn't work. Somebody poked somebody's finger in the eye. Somebody cussed each other. No problem. Guess what? let the two people, the only scenario we see right now, because we not all yeah, we guessing the person choosing the person choosing the person. I agree with Representative Kaluba. Leave the people alone. Let them choose the VP. The VP spot should not be a for sale VP spot. Let them decide who they're choosing. We trust these two leaders to be good leaders and managers. Let them choose their leaders. Let them go to election. Let other vote for who won't vote for. Whoever go the second round as the opposition, will put our backing behind it. If not, my wish would be for Ambassador Boycott to say, you know what? It was great. I have 45 years. That my own wish. Everybody got a wish. Yeah. That my own wish.
Okay, try your own Matu.
Yeah, my own wish was it. You know what? I tire, y'all not stress me up. I come and go retire. Y'all want my advice, my wisdom. Y'all can come to me. But you know what? I give it to the picking. Let the picking go. I put a hand up. That would be my wish. If not, let the two people go. Let them go to the polls. Whoever make it to the second round, we will support them. Y'all start stressing our opposition leaders up, okay? Y'all start stressing until they actually come and name the VP. Y'all lead the people. Y'all lead JMP. Y'all lead Cummings. Yeah. We beg you.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Sarah Matu. Let's go to Farika. Farika, please do your closing, and then we're gonna go to Leo Johnson.
Oh yeah, because when I finish doing my closing, Leo Tosoni and I will come back again.
That's what I'm trying to decide.
That the Regency can go on so he can finally count on. Yeah, like me count on to that.
No, I was just on the thing I was driving, speeding home. I said, no, I can't wait to go. Yeah, but they say a wise man changes. Honestly, look, I keep hearing these things, and I wish election would try an error that we could try and just go and test this thing. But look, Liberians voters are very predictable. What I'm seeing happen coming from the both camps is that people have taken position, and what is going on right now are people that are closer to the both candidates trying to not get people in, because everybody try to keep their low baby. It's a personal interest. People that are calling for disunity and do not want the two leaders to come together are people that have already taken side and believe that it will eat into what they could have gotten or what they will get when the election is done. So when it comes to dividing the bounty, they might be left out. So a lot of people do not want anything because Cummings already got a team. They already got vice president, all the ministers already finished deciding on the other side. So when you look on the other side, the other one in there, it may not be all true, but a lot of people that have
are looking for united.
It's not about the country anymore. But
that's not true. Mr. Cummings is about the country. Sorry.
Well, no, let's face it. Let's face it. The reality here is that the reality here is, do we want we are out? The reality here is, does each one of the candidates, which one of them have the numbers to win this election? Which one of them have the financial resources to win the election? Everything in Liberia is an open secret. We know all the rumor from different camps. We know all the small little chatter and secret that are going on in the back end. And my new belief is not based on one thing, because this is one of the elections that I haven't chosen side. I was leaning Cummings, and I believe that Cummings is a very good product. My problem with Cummings, he has been terribly marketed for the last 6 years. 6 months to the election, I don't see what he can do that he have not done in the last 6 years. If you want us to be adamant and say, oh, you know what, let's just go and test it and see, let me not try an error. I don't want to sit down and look back and see, oh, you know what, something. Someone will say, oh, you just want to win. No. This Liberia that we want to change, that Salomatu say, are you suffering? Look, what motivates the Liberian people? Leo can say you can't scare Liberian people all the suffering. What motivates voters is different from what you guys think. The notion that in America it's like this, so it should be that in Liberia, it will take generation for us to change that mindset. Hold on. It won't take generation, but this is how we can change it. First, we'll take a realistic approach. Liberia like it or not, it's a heavily tribally divided country. In a sense that people vote along tribal line. It has been that way since something. We can change that mindset. We can get qualified people. This doesn't take away from getting qualified people. At this time, look at our legislature. Look at our legislature. Look at the makeup. How many people in that place, especially the CDC, have dumped some people in there? Look at Josephine Francis. There are some people I don't even call me. That ain't even competent to be nothing. I running to be decision makers for us. And you know what? They have won. People voted for them. Liberian people voted for them. You may think that they are crazy. You may think that they are stupid for making decisions. But stupidity and craziness is relative. What you are looking at is not what the Liberian people might be looking at. You have to bring them to that place of understanding at your level. But until you can get them there, all this thing you're talking about is just an illusion. It's just a dream. It's just a fantasy. Oh yeah, we know. They make good talk. It make good talking point. We have to do this. We have to do this. We must do this. Let me tell you something. There's a reason why people have not digitized things in Liberia, because they still want to take cash. If you want to create stability in the financial sector, it's a gradual process to have the right people in there.
You need
Change our financial system from physical cash to digitization. Gradually, you change the system. But if you say that, oh, it should happen overnight, it will not happen overnight. Pronouncing it and saying it doesn't mean that it's going to happen. It's just in your head. Okay. How do you make it change? You have to use a realistic
1 minute.
So I have come to this point that 6 months to the election, Cummings don't have it. Burka certainly doesn't have it. Are we going to sit here and let Georgia win? We'll be licking our wound January? No. I know one thing, that despite all the divide, Burka and Cummings can be worse than Georgia. So if I decide that the both of them should come together as elder statesmen for the general good of the country, I think it is reasonable. You say they should divide. What if they divide? Cummings comes first, Burka comes second, or Burka people say they're not supporting, or Cummings comes, Burka people say they're supporting Cummings. It's still a win for Georgia. Okay. When we were united, we made progress. The Liberian people are not excited because they are apprehensive. They do not believe that they can win Georgia. And we are talking about two other people going against a younger contender. So what if we can give them that assurance that we are united and we will certainly defeat Georgia with all fear or favor, they will excitedly go to the poll. But if we give them that, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Leo. There we go.
I'll leave it at that. Tomorrow we'll explain them.
Yes, tomorrow we won't know what the Liberian people want, because you said Liberian people are predictable.
Yeah. So first of all, I agree, Fadiga. I'm not a realist. I'm a visionary and I'm a dreamer. I fully accept that title, because a realist is someone who accepts the situation as it is. I refuse to accept the situation as it is. I'm a visionary because the people who change situation are people who can create a vision, remove, especially when the situation is bad. You can turn bad out of bad. You need people who are able to vision and create a vision and dream about something and put the work to it. Look, let me give you a little story that I will close on. Fadiga, I was on Buduburan refugee camp when I read a book that inspired me. And not just myself, all my friends who were there when we read that book together, Stay Alive, and we decided we wanted to build a library in Liberia. There was on Buduburan refugee camp. At the time, what we knew was a library. Dr. Richardson was a little container with some books inside, because all we were exposed to.
I bring library history. Every small thing.
No, let me finish.
Mr. Library.
No problem. Fadiga, Mr.
Stop interrupting, Mr. Johnson. You are protected.
Yeah, Mr. Political crisscrosser from Joy Weir to Kumi to Boaka to back. Now the reality of the
situation. You ever add insult to injury? The man started the show. He was not. He said, "I'm not here for winnability."
Exactly.
I got to that.
Exactly. So for me, I'm saying that my theory and my visioning and dreaming eventually got to a place where I had to meet Salamantu there and all the people there to ask for their help and raise $2 million. You know what hurts me the most, Dr. Richardson, is that after working on this project for 8 years, we still get another person who got vexed with the resources and get pay one. Instead of Leo picking away, plenty talking, Benin, not betting anything, wasting too much time. You're not going to bet a team, the children and meet a team. We stay here talking here like we are not get public library. after 8 years of me putting my theory, my small theory together. So yes, I accept. I'm not a realist. I accept that the situation in Liberia is bad. I don't want to accept it as it is. I want to imagine a different vision. And I've learned from few people who I know that have created visions before. And I've seen what it takes, and I read them carefully. Whether is Nelson Mandela, who was willing to put 27 years in prison and still could hope. If Nelson Mandela was a realist and did not have a vision, he would have committed suicide in prison. He would have never survived. It is that visionary attitude that made someone like him still think that after 27 years in jail, he still believed that he could change South Africa for what it was. And he did. A Kwame Nkrumah was not a visionary. He would have accepted the situation as it is and subjected himself to colonial rule. And it will not be as it is. So I agree. I'm not opposing to people who are realists or want to deal with the situation as it is. But some of us want to create, and it's not you or me. It's not me against realists. Deal with the situation as it is, Fadiga. But for someone like me, if you can tell me that our leaders don't see the suffering of the Liberian people, if our leaders don't see the hunger, if our leaders don't see the dying children, the 12, 13-year-old little girls prostituting in the streets every day for food, and they take their personal egos for the last 2 years, when overwhelmingly CPP demonstrated to Darius Delon win twice. That the Liberian people, majority of them yearn for that. Yes, and our leaders decided that their personal egos and what they wanted was more important than that. Then you come back to me and tell me, say, I don't understand Liberian politics. I don't. It's one of the most corrupt ever. And I choose willingly not to. I want something different. And there are many other Liberians we've talked to that are yearning. So today, being a visionary got me where I am. Being theoretical got me where I am. And putting in the work behind the theory, it may be slow, but it is sustainable. So I will stick to it. And the people who agree with us will work with us to get to an
Thank you. So join us tomorrow. Tomorrow, Salamatu, if I'm right, we're going to have Councillor Pearl Bull here tomorrow. She is a legacy, a legendary. She's going to be coming here to speak to us about, you know, what our country was, what it should look like, and give us some feedback. She's going to talk about women empowerment as well. So we look forward to seeing Councillor Pearl Bull. So join us tomorrow. I want to, again, as usual, just thank all of our callers. It was a spirited argument here tonight. I enjoy it. This is exactly how we want to represent the different views that are in Liberia as we get closer to elections. I want to also thank you, panelists. You commit yourself. You come here for 3 hours almost every night. I really appreciate your dedication to Liberia. And I'll just close by, putting a thought out there. And I know I'm coming from a human service perspective. I wonder about the circle of abuse. This is kind of actually what I wonder. I wonder if we are seeing that manifest in Liberia when we talk about how the oppressed become the oppressors. Okay. I wonder if this is what is going on in our country, that now we have people who are oppressed, manifesting what they don't know. Okay. Can we say, and again, I wonder, can we say that they don't know better? Or can we say that you know better and you do better? Okay. This is why we come here on Spoon Talk Network to tell them how, we can partnership with them. Okay. We can present some arguments to them. They can take what they know, their experience, and sort of mix it up together and make decisions that are helpful to our country. We talked today about when you know better, you look at things at decision-making skills. You look at things at communication skills. You look at things at advocacy skills. You look at things at leadership skills. Okay, when you look for leadership, you're looking for people to run our country. So today we ask you, as you sort of, think about voting, we ask you to look at our process. We ask you to be responsible citizens. If you see anybody in the line that, you can question, not that necessarily the ethnicity, but we talk about underage voting. Yeah, people who are not even 18 years old. We saw some pictures of them being in line. I want you to question them. Okay. I want you to tell the authority. And I want you, somebody said, I want us to stand up to the system as well. So I'm going to close today by saying, if you want a better leader, you want to do something different, you want change in our country, vote, as we are telling you here, about leadership, advocacy, um, good hospitals, good roads, good governance. If you want in your life is again the way that it is, and you're enjoying it and you want to keep it that way, vote that way as well. One thing I know, George will continue to live large. Mr. Cummings will continue to live large, and so will Buckeye. So we are the people who will continue to suffer. So again, vote the right way. And thank you so much. We'll be seeing you tomorrow. Good day. Thank you very much for being here. Bye.
Thank you, guys.